George and Seb rolling down the road, RGT riding shotgun a heavy load, Pastor Longhorn waiting to unfold. In El Paso, Texas, tales been told. One arm big, a sight to see. Pastor preach, set you free. George and Seb, they bend the knee. RGT nodding yes in glee. Join the cult in El Paso town, where Pastor Longhorn's got his crown. One arm high, the other down. We're the wildest show around. Sunday's hot, the desert air. George and Seb both feel the glare. Longhorn's words hang everywhere. Salvation found without a care. Sunday's hot, the desert air. George and Seb both feel the glare. Longhorn's words hang everywhere. Salvation found without a care. RGT plays a sacred tune underneath the El Paso moon. Longhorn grins from afternoon to the night, they'll see it soon. Join the cult in El Paso town, where Pastor Longhorn's got his crown. One high, the other down. We're the wildest show around. We're the wildest show around.
Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode number 234. They keep rising. Well, I wonder what the AI is going to call this, but provisionally this is an indie showcase discussion and hands-on with Star Wars Outlaws. First 13 hours, Seb, can we give them an insight to?
Yeah, I would say 13 hours is fair.
With me, George, and this week by the revealed Seb and Scott.
How we doing?
Longhorns lovers or Tuscan Raiders to my toilet raider. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Superb. Yourself? All good?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, got a little bit of chapped lips. Longhorns had me siphoning out the rooftop tank.
Yeah, I didn't realise there was no air conditioning down here. I didn't realise that was broke, so it's been a stuffy week, really, isn't it?
Especially in El Paso.
Yeah, I am definitely losing weight, and I feel a bit discombobulated, if I'm honest. This basement, you don't see a day or night cycle. I don't even know.
Yeah, you do look good. You may have lost weight, but it might just be where it's so dark in here. I can't tell, but I mean, you look good from across the room.
I think the darkness is helping us find other parts of each other that we never knew about before.
Like my chocolate.
I was just thinking
Starfish.
your bravery, because Seb had a little bit of a panic attack, and then you kind of got him breathing in a bag and you brought him round. I was just thinking, that solitary from the darkness. I wasn't thinking of your snack bag. Although, to be fair, I've feasted on said snack bag. And it tasted like the centre, that sort of flaky looking piece of a chocolate orange. It was actually quite nice. Similar texture.
That was a great album from Limp Bizkit, wasn't it? The old Chocolate Starfish. Fantastic album.
Or the AKA the B-side, the Rusty Balloon Knot. Seb, enough of this talk. How are you finding the darkness?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm hanging in there, just slowly taking it one day at a time, and ready for the days of the compound to set on fire. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Great ascension, brother. We're all now the trio of almost, I don't know, gospels, disciples of Longhorn. Bobby.
It's a Cult of the Lamb DLC. That's what this is. I'm enjoying it.
if season whatever it is ever makes it onto Cult of the Lamb DLC with the UCP boys, Longhorn as well, I will literally be punching the skies. I got a phone call. Pastor Longhorn called me up to the communal phone. Bobby put a call in. We had to speak in code a lot of the time, but he's working on a what I would call fundraising page. Little did I know it's linked to the show's own support page. So if you want to get us out of Longhorn's grip, you got to go in there and subscribe to the show or support the show. Between $3 and $10 is your call. I advise a lower amount, genuinely. But before we get further into it, our darkness this week has been punctuated by sort of brief moments of light, which were provided by the games. So I must ask you, Seb, what brought you light with what you've been playing?
I've been playing the game of the year contender, the Messiah himself, the one that will lead us out of the darkness of the monotony that has been this year of video games. And
if this is a rodent with a firearm, I'm devoed.
He saw through the build-up. Everyone, it is Squirrel with a gun. Everybody,
yes,
it's Squirrel with a gun. Man, I don't know if y'all seen John Wick, but John Wick feels like he had like a apprentice, and that apprentice was a rodent outside with a gun who just goes crazy, absolutely crazy. But no, seriously, Squirrel with a gun's fun. It is a little bit of Goat Simulator, a little bit of like Saints Row. It's kind of like with an indie little kick to it. A lot of nonsense. I think if you played what was the banana game a little bit ago? But anyways,
Carlos the Banana or something, was it?
Yeah, exactly.
Pedro.
Pedro. Yeah. Pedro. I'm like, you kind of get the humor that's behind this game, but outside of that though, I've been playing that. I've been playing Tales of Gonzalez. It was a Metrovania that came out earlier this year. It was sponsored as a EA Play original. It was kind of
the one kind of set in like Africa.
That's exactly right. It is an Afrocentric set game where you kind of play as a young kid who's going through grief after the loss of his father. And
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's a really good game. I think it was kind of like in the shadow of Prince of Persia because both of them were Metrovania starring.
I was going to say that. And to my outsider eyes, I've not played Prince of Persia, but I did download this. Is it Legend of Zal, did you say?
Legend of Tales of Khazar, the Legend of Zal. Yeah,
that's it. And I had a good 10 minutes with it, at least. It reminded me of the 16-bit sort of side-scrolling platform games like Flashback or Another World. It's got a lot to it, and I think that the story and the rich culture behind that is actually what will have me going back. Admittedly, the rotation's a bit full, but tell me a bit more about it.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I think so. This was made by a guy who was used to doing cinema for a very long time, and you can kind of get that vibe here because it is very story centric, very story rich. It like each and everything you do has the theme of grief and how you handle grief and how you can overcome it or how it can overcome you, all around that. And it's mixed in with a Metrovania that's, I think, orchestrated, especially the level design of the Metrovania, and the power scaling, I think, is well done as well. So I think this is a really cool indie game. I know it has EA's stamp on it, but it's still like an indie team that EA kind of published. So I think, I would still consider it indie. That one's pretty good. I would recommend that to anyone because it's available on all platforms, especially if you like the Metrovania genre. And then I'm playing,
or if you enjoyed the aforementioned Prince of Persia and you're looking for a little bit more, I think in this day and age it's a bit lacking, but that would definitely scratch that itch.
Yeah, for sure. I think Prince of Persia is better gameplay wise, and Tales of Zal is better story wise. And had they merged the two, you'd probably have the perfect Metrovania game. But like as it stands right now, I think Tales of Khazara as a on sale feature, I would probably say like if you could find it around like anywhere from £7 to 15, as y'all say over there, pounds, then I think that's the prime spot for this kind of game. I played it on the Steam Deck, of course. I've also played this on Xbox as well. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. I know it's for Scotty. I know it's also on Switch. So if you do like Metroidvania games, you can definitely check that out. But I played our topic of the show. We'll get to it in a little bit, and that's Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes.
So yeah,
I'll wait to hear about that.
Hold all that here. Is that all you've been playing this week, Seb? I imagine maybe yes.
Yeah, outside of college football, that's pretty much it. So, Scotty, what have you been playing?
Addict.
Well, yourself, Seb, and some of the listeners will be pleased to hear that I've actually put down Anno. I got stuck in a bit of a modern game error vortex. So basically, I fired the game up and it said to either sign into your account or make a new account with, I don't know if it's Ubisoft or who the developer is.
It
George
is Ubisoft, yeah.
Ubisoft. Yeah. That happens sometimes. That didn't happen to me before. So I was like, no, I don't want to log in. And no, I don't want to make an account. I don't want to sandbox it. I'm playing offline. And it didn't give me an option. So I could have just turned it off and back on again like a human being. But I thought, I'll rage quit. I took the disc out and I thought I'd take the opportunity.
No, mate, no.
I frisbeed it down the road, straight down El Paso. It rolled down like a tumbleweed. And then I thought I'd grab another game for the PS5. And I pulled out. Now, I'm very late to the party, but it's better to be at the party than just to never turn up at all. So I popped in The Witcher 3. And wow, I know everybody said it's amazing.
You're contractually obliged to refer to that as Switcher 3.
Yeah, Switcher 3. But I've been playing it on PS5. The Switch copy hasn't arrived yet. And I should have played the Switch version first to appreciate the upgrade. And now... Like, Seb, if there's any chance to turn me away from the Switch, now it's coming, buddy. Now it's coming.
Oh,
because I've been playing it hard. Like, at the weekend, there was one particular day, I'm talking 12 hours, like my back hurt. I was laying on the sofa, legs up, head up. I think they call it in, if you're in shock, I don't know, like the W position. I'm not quite sure, the V.
It looked like you were in a U, right?
Yeah, the U, thank you. I'm not very good with the old Sesame Street alphabet. I must have missed that episode. But yeah, my back hurt when I laid there playing it so much. I just think any game with a horse in, I was like this with Red Dead Redemption, but I thought I was really far in it. I put so many hours in. I reckon 20 hours since we've last spoke, since last week.
Yeah.
And there was still some missions where I'm like, hold on, I'm level 7. To do this, side mission, I need to be level 37. So that is a hell of a game. And I tell you what, I'm enjoying every moment of it. What a ride. It's absolutely fantastic. Really,
you got about 87 hours to go until you get to be like moderately strong in The Witcher right now. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm being a little hyperbolic because it's probably more closer to 67 hours. But like, yeah, that game is so good and it's so deep because you're playing the complete edition, which means you'll be able to play the expansions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, like when you start a game up, it gives you the option if you want easy, medium, or hard. And you always you leave it on medium, don't you? I very rarely put it on easy. And normally it has some sort of tongue-in-cheek thing like, oh, scared of a challenge. It says the little things, little jokey lines, doesn't it? Yeah. Or like legendary mode or hardcore mode. But this one was really nice. On the easy mode, didn't call it easy mode. It just said, want to enjoy the story. I can't remember how it worded it, but it made me click on it. And I clicked on easy and Seb, I'm so glad because like what you said, I haven't got the best of armor or built. I hate crafting, so I've not done any crafting. I've been picking up the odd swords I get and barely repairing them. And some of the battles have been tough as it is, but the story's so good. I'm glad I didn't make it, of more advanced difficulty because I probably would have threw in the towel by now, to be honest.
Is this your first experience with The Witcher as a lore?
As a series, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And now we're buzzing. So as soon as we finished our current TV series, me and Mrs. Marathon Gaming, we're going to watch the Witcher TV series because I was speaking with a friend last night, told him about the game, and he said, Scott, if you enjoy that, the series is amazing. He said it's pretty good. So
has Mrs. Marathon been your sort of co-pilot through The Witcher, or has she been watching you play The Witcher 3?
Well, no, because obviously I'm at El Paso at the moment, so she's still at home over in England, so she hasn't been there while I've been playing the game.
That's it. Pull up the CEO.
Bring that football back in.
So, Scotty, I'd almost recommend
his wife watch you play it.
That's correct, yes.
Yes, good.
I'd almost recommend you almost watch the show because like the show is almost like a precursor to what's going on in The Witcher 3. So you can kind of
wait.
Yeah, so I'm like, So yeah, it's almost like it is one of those things to where like the events that kind of lead up to The Witcher 3, not all of them, but a lot of them, you'll kind of get that backstory. Because like The Witcher 3, while it does a good job of doing like the previously on and giving you a little bit of what happened in the first and a lot of the second game, it sort of doesn't tell you a lot of like some of the relationships that you're kind of like expected to know. So like my first time playing The Witcher 3 was also my first time with The Witcher as a whole. And even though it did like a previously on, I didn't necessarily know what Geralt's relationship was with Trish, with Yennefer, what is the Wild Hunt, why is this something to be feared? So yeah, I think that would kind of at least illuminate some more details for you.
It's a good point, actually. There's a lot of lore in the game that you can find vicariously, but the show will give you the headlines. And as Seb says, I think the relationship to the sorceresses and Geralt's relationship to them is actually pivotal in not only this game, but the series as a whole. So, yeah, there's plenty for you to get stuck into. Apart from Geralt's journey through Rivia, what else have you been doing?
That has literally been it with the Witcher. It's the only game I've been playing this week. I haven't put the Switch back on. It's been cooling down events. I've just Seb's got in my head. Yeah,
you better pull up a chair then, boys, because it's time for an education piece. I've been playing the Hunter the Angler fishing game. I can't remember the name of it now. I think it's Angler Call of the Wild. They've made these open world fishing areas. I started playing this around Christmas. I think I might have mentioned it then. But
you did. Yeah.
I've gone back to it. I got stuck because during the tutorial, you have to do what they tell you to do in a specific area. And frustratingly, I found this really nice fishing spot when I played it at Christmas. The setting was right. I'd got the grass around me. I thought, this is what I want, but I was still quite deep in the tutorial. So there's me trying to do my thing. And I was casting out a feeder with a pop-up boilie on it and some ground bait or whatever it was. I was being proper nerdy. And every time I catch the fish, it wouldn't let me progress. Well, I've gone back and realised my mistake and I've actually done the fishing on the mission marker, and it's like, yeah, you caught a fish using ground bait. Yeah, you're all right. I've just been enjoying that, to be honest. I've just been doing some float fishing. It's a bit unrealistic at times because as soon as you throw it in, if you get the hook right and the bait right, they're straight on it. It feels like Sega Bass fishing. You're like, ooh. But
what platform are you playing this on?
PS5 / Portal.
Okay, gotcha.
Is it a Sega game? Is it Sega?
No, it's by... I want to say that the Call of the Wild series is made by a developer called Avalanche. Not the one that did Mad Max, but the other one.
The Avalanche, the other one, is the one who did Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, but they're the ones who did Mad Max. So the Avalanche, the other one, are the ones that I think that do Call of the Wild and Hunter Call of the Angler, Call of the Fish.
If you want some lake experience, where you want to pause the game and get some fresh air, when Longhorn does let us out for our daily vitamin D, the lake that me and Seb walked to yesterday, Longhorn took us down there and we did a bit of pole fishing. And Longhorn did say to me he wanted to show George his big pole, so perhaps he can take you on a bit of pole fishing. And you could use a practice in the game.
Okay, it's done by... this game was developed by Expansive Worlds.
Okay. And is that a parent spin-off of Call of the Wild, is it?
Yes. And so, like, Expansive Worlds looks like they did both the Call of the Wild and the Call of the Wild Wild games, and the other one as well.
Okay.
The Hunter.
Yeah, that's it. Community Correction. I thought it was a developer called Avalanche. Obviously, I've got that wrong. First time. I don't think I am wrong, but I think I'm going to get on the Google machine when the episode's finished and find out where I got this weird selection of information from. Anyway, I've been playing that. I've also been playing some MLB. To all those that tuned in last week, I've conquered my sliders. I don't need to touch anything. I just needed to get a little bit more selfish in terms of my results. I was always playing for the team when I should have actually been... None of that should have mattered, and I should have just struck everybody out regardless. If someone comes on, though, and they're a big bat, it can be safer to walk them or just go for a ground ball so they don't actually get the ball in the air, which is obviously the biggest fear. That was my biggest fear in the game, but the minute you put that to one side and just go for dirty strikeouts, you get straight in the MLB. So I've enjoyed my first game with the Braves. Enjoyed that. When the manager called me into his office finally, I'd had a couple of losses, and I was thinking, does the road to the show, is it capable of demoting you back down, back down to the nowhere leagues? But he patted me on my back and told me I was getting a promotion to the MLB. Finally, the day has come. So I was like, yes, thank God.
So what are you in? The minor leagues? Is that what you was in? Is that what it's called?
You work through
the double A's,
triple A baseball until you get to MLB. So it's quite good. I think this year it started me off in double A rather than A. So there was a kind of faster progression. But yeah, it's fun. The games hit the spot now because in A and double A and triple A, you get the new addition to the series that they've made is you only get one of the commentators until you get to MLB. And then when you get to MLB, you get both commentators, and it just, the stadiums look better. Everything looks great. So it's a shame that you have to wait 6 months to get to the game that you played for, but
you'll enjoy it now. You've built up to it. You've obviously appreciated the game for what it is, and now you get to really see it in its full glory. Yeah.
It feels more earned. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
have one more, what I would call rope-a-dope, slobber-knocker type punch for you both. I was yearning for a bit of Anno after our discussion, but I couldn't bring myself. I've got clean. So I downloaded Planet Coaster again and went through that. And yeah, it can get your grips into you. Like I started playing it, and then 6 hours later, I realized that it was probably time for bed. A little bit later than that, I think I ended up then playing it till 5:30, which is the latest I've ever stayed up playing a video game. I like Planet Coaster, but it is a bit of a one. There is depth in terms of what you construct and how you make it look in terms of the scenery. But really, it's a one-trick pony in terms of the financial management, which actually left me disappointed. Because I was hoping to get really stuck into the bells and whistles of charging X for the Cokes and Y, and ultimately, you can do that.
I like that. That's the highlight of the game, charging extra for Coca-Cola. It's absolutely outrageous.
It's all about the incremental
fun
games.
in that.
I'm not one for building a roller coaster. Absolutely not. No, I just want to build and maximize profit. It's unfortunate, but the game tickles both, but maybe shown its hand completely. To that note, though, gentlemen.
Hold on, before you advance. So I did some digging while you were talking. There's 2 Avalanche Studios, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, so Avalanche Studios Group, not to be confused with Avalanche Software. So Avalanche Studio Group is a Swedish developer and publisher based in Stockholm, and they are the ones who you are correct and did the Mad Max games. They also do the wildlife games.
Oh, it is them.
Yeah, so they also do the wildlife games. So they've
what did the other Avalanche do?
So Avalanche Studios is a subsidiary of WB Games. It was based off in Salt Lake City, Utah. So here in the States. So that one is the studio that did basically like the smaller IP games for Disney until they did Hogwarts Legacy. So they did like Bolt, Toy Story, Disney Infinity was like their claim to fame. And then they did Hogwarts Legacy, which was the highest selling game of last year. So
Did they do Cars?
Yeah, Cars 1, 2, and 3.
Actually,
and the Hannah Montana game.
I can't speak for that, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Cars games are actually good.
You lie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, apparently they are. I've seen footage of the Cars games, and everyone says that. They say, do you know what? In terms of racing games, they're better than some more sort of adult theme ones, you know?
Yeah,
and they're actually quite good games.
Yeah, in terms of lore building and the world building, they did for... Shame no one was looking, because they did for Cars what they did for Hogwarts.
Wow.
A middling game? I was like, Hogwarts Legacy was kind of, middle of the road is what we talked about, right?
Yeah, but dude, it hit hard initially. And then it failed. It kind of tailed off a bit, didn't it?
Cars 3 Driven to Win is out for PlayStation 4 and Switch, everybody, if y'all want to play that.
Instant download. All that put to one side, we arrived here for 2 things mainly. 3 things. To chop up pasta spuds, aka potato, boil and mash and put them in a stew. We came here to ask each other what we're hoping to play. We also came here to find out, because this week, the mighty Nintendo decided to put its head above the parapet with what can only be described as a showcase. Now, Seb, really the only reason you're here is so I can watch the life force drain out of your body as we talk about some fair to middling indie games that are coming out on Switch this year. And I want
I'm the indie man, though.
Who's the indie man? You?
Me. I'm the king of the indies.
You're not taking it's like the Booker T. You're not taking my time. Five-time indie world champion. So Scott has actually been allowed out by Pastor Longhorn from El Paso, and he was able to go somewhere with internet access where he sat himself down with a side portion of cup noodles just for the authentic experience as he could do. And he's going to regale us with all the news from Nintendo's Direct. Indian Partner Showcase, I believe, Scott. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a sort of joint video. So it was done as one release. So we had the Indie World, where it goes through all of the indie releases, which we'll get to in a second. And then they had the Nintendo Partner Showcase Direct, where they went through some of their games coming out, which they said was in the second half of 2024. But a lot of them, to be honest, are coming out next year, 2025. But we'll dive into that as we go through. But yeah, the first game they showed us off the bat, not a bad shout, was Balatro DLC. So I know we talked about it last week. And to be fair, it's a free DLC, which is good. Obviously, it's still a popular game. People are playing it. And the DLC, I don't know if you guys saw, but they're all current games that people are playing. The first one, The Witcher, they threw that in for me. They had Vampire Survivors. They had Dave the Diver, which George is still playing. And even had Among Us. So to be fair, as a free DLC, just chucking those little, just themed cards, it's not a bad shout to start off with, really.
No.
It's pretty good. Then the second game we had come up was Neva. So Neva.
May I pause you there for a moment, sir?
Yes.
I haven't had the opportunity to play Balatro yet, although it's on my list of things I want to get into.
Darn shame.
How does this change that up then?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
Again, I know Seb's played a lot of it, so Seb can hopefully tell us. But for what I could see, I think it was just the decks. Is that right, Seb? A bit like when you play Solitaire and choose a different deck. Did it actually change any of the gameplay?
For the most part, this is just cosmetic stuff. I think some of the themed Jokers are also going to be themed characters within that universe, within different universes. So, like, the thing about Balatro is like the Jokers infuse you with like your build, whatever like deck build you have at that time, with enhanced powers. So this is going to be themed powers within those certain worlds as well.
Oh, right. So there is a little bit of something to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not much though. Yeah.
I like the fact that these indie guys, Dave the Diver especially, Dave the Diver's put himself everywhere, and Dave the Diver's had everyone on his as well, which you have to admit is quite.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. There was even was there a Godzilla DLC for Dave the Diver or something?
There was
outrageous. Yeah.
I feel like Dave the Diver is doing a hell of a lot of the legwork to substantiate himself as an indie king in his own right. Sorry, Seb. I know you're the indie god, but Dave the Diver's doing everything he can to put himself out there. And I think I'm excited to see more from Dave the Diver.
No, I think we're in this new age of indie collaboration that we haven't been in previously. Dave the Diver, I know was a big one. Like Among Us with Inner Sloth has announced that they're sponsoring other indie games, like officially like sponsoring them as helping them in the development process and helping to pay for a lot of their development costs. And even then, Dredge is another one that should be highlighted as something that that keeps collaborating with other indie games as well. So I think we're in this new age of indie collaboration that we haven't been previously.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? It's really cool.
I think it shows a sign of the indie genre maturing a little bit and just nudging itself up another level from where it was. I think that's impressive. What's next, sir?
Okay, so diving into the next one. So Neva. So now it didn't give much away, the trailer. So it looks weird and wonderful. You guys might know. So it had the same developer. I think is it Gris?
It's
who
Gris,
made this game? Yeah, Gris. And again, if you watch like the trailer for Gris, I hadn't played it myself, but again, it looks weird and wonderful, and the trailer does not give much away. So it's just one of those games that visually looks pretty cool, but it looks a bit alluring, a bit of a mystery. So it was quite it didn't give much away, like I say. But have you played Gris? Have you played that game before?
I played both of these, and I went hands on with the demo for Neva as well, and I can't wait for this. I can't wait. I think I think the story is going to blow people away more so than the gameplay, because I think the gameplay is something we've seen before. But I do. What were you gonna say?
It's got hints of Journey, but smattered across with like a 16-bit smattering of those visuals. I like it.
Yeah, and it's kind of got Ori storytelling.
Yeah, it looks like that. Well. Yeah, sure. It does look like that. It's never the character. Is it a deer? Like, it was a lot of sort of deer animation throughout. Like, I don't know if it's that and it's mum trying to get back. But yeah, the actual story of it was quite vague. But yeah, it did look really cool. But yeah, definitely one. So when did that come out on Steam then, Seb?
It's not out on Steam. Steam, it's like it was on Steam Next Fest with a lot of those demos they allow you to play. And
do you remember
when you played it?
Yeah, do you remember when we sent Seb to Gamescom and he eloped with a Texan tearaway pastor that transpired to be Pastor Longhorn?
That's how this whole thing
Before we got dragged into this den of iniquity, Seb was out getting exclusive hands-on by getting very close to Pastor. That's all I'll say.
The good days.
When you had him all to yourself. And vice versa.
I was the Anakin of the games industry, and he whispered in my ear like the Lord Sidious that he is.
Did George never tell you the story of Darth RGT the Wise? By the way, RGT, he was working towards liberating us, but I heard he's gone into rehab because here in the UK it's developed what can only be called an addiction to top shelf gentlemen's rhythm magazines.
The magazines?
That's a rough one.
I don't know what that is, but I've got the bill through on the UCP credit card. So, yeah.
Well, I've just tried Googling it and my account's been blocked. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what that is.
So what's next, Scotty?
So the next one we've got, I think someone's left the light on outside the porch and probably left their window open because a little moth's flown through. This is called Moth Qubit. Now, this is a strange game because
I am hyped for this, BT.
I knew you would be, George. So they say it's an RPG. The story was crazy, right? I think they said it's a moth detective that had a big promotion. They left it at that, and then all of a sudden they showed mini games. I mean, some look quite cool, like an isometric top-down shooter. And then there was a side-scrolling sort of shoot 'em up, like horizontal style. But then all of a sudden, the little moth was on a dance machine, and then all of a sudden he's grabbing coffee in a police detective room. I was like, I watched it 3 times. I rewinded it, and I was like, what is this story? But yeah, George, what did you think about it? I knew you was going to like this one.
As soon as I saw a game where you have to, survive in a surreal RPG where you're trying to, I mean, it takes some picking apart, but it's some sort of mega corporation and you're in it and you're trying to work yourself up the ladder. I mean, it appeals to everything that I might want. in the end of the day, when we get there, it probably won't be as realistic a work sim as I might like. But it looks nice. Again, it's kind of got that hybrid 8 to 16-bit art style. I think it's got lots of sort of dialogue choice within it. I think this has got the legs to be good, especially on Switch.
Yeah, it just seemed a bit of a mashup because obviously it had the different levels and it looked almost minigame-esque. So I thought, well, is this a bit like a WarioWare game? Where it's just loads of. But then they said, obviously, it's an RPG, and like you said with the decisions, they said your decisions in the game affect the play out of the story. So it's ticked over about 3 or 4 genres there. So it will be interesting to see. I haven't got down. I don't know if you know how much the price is for that, but I don't know how that's coming in and being released. What sort of price
Spring
range
2025 is all I know about it. I'm excited. I don't know what point it'll fall into, but I see that being $15 or less.
I mean, there is a concern because spring 25. I mean, how long's an average life of a moth? I mean, is it going to see it through to the final stages? 30 days. I mean, think how many, just making the game. Think how many moths have just lost their lives just from
trying to
have
a little
together.
Counter at the beginning, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
How many
7,000 moths. Yeah.
How many moths have died on lamps in houses when they were should be trying to get to the moon? Yeah, that would be an interest. Lots of stats. What's next, sir? Hit me up with something.
So next one I'm actually really excited about, and I'm pretty sure Seb's gone into this. I'm sure I've heard him mention it before. Now, a lot of friends have played this game. So it's another Coffee Talk. This is Coffee Talk Tokyo, which, I'd be interested to see what Seb thinks of it. But I've always wanted to play a Coffee Talk game. I just haven't, because I watched a friend live stream it, and I had a really good time just watching him, read through it. So I felt like I got most of the story. But then the second one come out. And now I see it even at some point, I'm sure I saw it on Game Pass. So it's definitely, in terms of visual novels go, I know they're popular anyway. A lot of people like them on their commute. But
they're good,
is that one of the bigger boys, Seb? Is that one of the big ones out there?
This is a team out of Tokyo. They're super sweet people as well. I met them at PAX. A visual novel, and it is a visual novel mixed with the mini games of you creating different drinks for different customers and trying to appease each customer with your own curated drinks. You can also draw little designs in the drinks and try to see.
I've seen that, the latte art. You can. I've seen some pretty outrageous latte art in the videos I've seen.
It's been some bad ones out there. But I'm terrible at drawing, so I've never actually made an actual work of art in this series. But I think the staple of Coffee Talk is definitely the heartfelt stories of each and every customer that you come across, at least most of the customers. And then the lo-fi soundtracks are God tier. They're so good. So this is one of those chill vibe games that I definitely recommend people go check out, especially Coffee Talk 2 Hibiscus and Butterfly, which came out, previously.
Is that got replayability in it? Sorry, George. Sebas, can you replay it multiple times, or is it just one playthrough and you're done? Or
you can replay it multiple times, but I don't think it's. I think replayability is the lackluster part of that series. For the most part, it's you can choose minor things that are different, but for the most part, you're always playing a through storyline, and you know how it's going to end.
How long's a playthrough then? Average time, do you think? I mean, depends how fast you read, I suppose.
Yeah, probably 6 to 10. I would terribly say. I think you can complete both of the games in less than 18 hours.
So it's good for a holiday, a good in-flight game.
Yeah,
if you're traveling from El Paso to Bangkok,
London, basically,
as Longhorn visits there quite regularly. That's his general route: El Paso to Bangkok. What he does there, we still don't know. He hasn't showed us those pictures. I think only RGT's seen those photos. Maybe we'll find out when he next comes
in the back of one of his rhythm pamphlets. I heard.
Yeah, exactly that.
The Top Gear.
Yeah, we'll call it Top Gear. I think that's the clean version of what we're looking at. I want to just have a moment on Coffee Talk, if I may. I've always been fascinated by it, and I've played other visual novels. I think the closest thing I've played to this, it gave me similar vibes, was Read Only Memories. And again, that lo-fi music of that, the 8-bit quality of it, Read Only Memories 2064, especially with that 8-bit visual style as well, that kind of, or more maybe 8-bit home computer style. Coffee Talk sort of walks straight into that sort of pantheon, really. And I see all the praise for it. I think I need to double down on maybe see if I can get in Pastor's luggage and do one of those long haul flights to Bangkok. One would imagine.
Is it on Game Pass still, or not?
No,
I was going to say
it's not on Game Pass anymore. But no, I think it's like Coffee Talk is one of those to where like I talk about it all the time, but you can find that really cheap still. Especially if you have if you're a PC gamer, you can find that pretty cheap. But if you have a
Switch, that's what's starting annoying me about the Switch. The prices, they are outrageous in comparison.
Yeah, that's why I do think it's like a solid investment to maybe, like if you're playing anything outside of the first party, it's a solid investment to maybe like find a PC alternative, but because like those games are stupidly cheap often. But this one, I think like even on PlayStation and on Xbox, you can normally find this for a solid deal of, I would probably say like maybe $10 a piece or less. I think they have a bundle pack of 1 and 2 for 25, and I think you can find that a deal on that for at least like 16, 17. Yeah.
Pastor sent me a text on the internal El Paso communication device. He said, Scott, if you want to know what I was doing in Bangkok, clues in the name, stop asking questions.
Too shy.
What's next in Pastor's smock of Nintendo goodness?
Okay, well, grab your cup of coffee, throw it up into the sky, because the next game is a DLC for Sea of Stars.
Nice.
See what I did there?
I did like it.
It's never good when you have to explain, see what I did there. That's never a good sign.
I did see, and I liked it.
I did too.
So, I mean, I've not played this game. It's one of those ones, it's been a backlog for ages. I just know it would take up a lot of time. This DLC is for spring 2025. I know there's a new playable character. The game looks great. I've heard nothing but good things. I've got a friend in Canada who raves about this game. He says it's absolutely brilliant. There are certain games and RPGs I'm almost scared to dabble in just because of how much time. I mean, look what's happened with me since I discovered The Witcher. I've been laying in a V position all weekend. So, but yeah, this looks awesome. Have you guys played Sea of Stars previously?
I've had a dabble with it when it came to PS Plus, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I just didn't feel committed to go back to it. I think it's a beautiful looking game, and I think if you're a JRPG guru, it'll definitely scratch the itch, and it's nice to see that it's getting support with the DLC. Like I say, beautiful game, well put together, a real tribute to the sort of Mode 7 kind of SNES Final Fantasies. Really, it's got that look to it. Maybe even cross with sort of
Sakoda
mana games. It's visually very appealing.
I'm about to commit taboo for myself, but I'd actually recommend people like who couldn't like gravitate to this game to play it multiplayer, because like now like the upcoming DLC, I think is like the big news about it right now is that it supports the upcoming local co-op mode.
Yeah,
and can you do free with it? Is that right, Sam? It looked like there was free characters on the screen.
I think you can do. Yeah, so like the main party is always 3, so you can do up to 3 for the new local co-op. But you can do that now, I believe, with without the local co-op entitled. I think you just play online. Everyone plays online right now.
I love the idea of local co-op though, because sitting with Mrs. Longhorn on an evening playing a little bit of this, it's beautiful.
I'd say we could all play that together, all 3 of us tomorrow, because it would give us something to do while we're down here. But that's spring 2025, DLC.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, enough time to finish the first game. What's next out of the schmock of justice?
I think this might be one for Seb to leave the room on. This is definitely a George title, this one. It's got simulator in the name. This is a power wash. This is a power wash simulator, and even Mrs. Marathon Gaming gave me a message on the old pager about this one. This is a Shrek DLC, and I couldn't believe my eyes, to be honest. She wrote down something for George ? You
know what? I've played Power Wash Simulator, and I know everyone got on board with it whenever it first hit the mainstream. It's not a simulator for me because I didn't think it's relaxing, but it didn't simulate pressure washing the way I expected.
No, it doesn't. You can't. You've got to get the right coats on. You've got to get the chamois. You've got to get the soap on. You've got to buff it. You need all the right chemicals.
You need.
I wrote a strong
baby.
Yeah, I wrote a strong angry letter to the writers of Jet Wash Simulator and Lawnmower Simulator as well, because that wasn't accurate either. And they haven't got back to me yet for some reason.
I think they're just composing a response because they haven't got the technical prowess to actually respond to you on that.
But listen, George, the most positive thing about this game is the fact that it's actually coming out this year. It's autumn 2024, which beats some of the games before it. So not the most excitable game, but at least it's a DLC that's coming out.
The next most available one for me to play. Fine.
Yeah,
Call me interested.
Yeah, you know, the crazy thing is, I think this is bad timing for this game. You know, like this DLC.
It's
like,
the end of summer. It's the end of summer. Who's out there washing stuff going into the winter? It's bizarre.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking like the new Shrek movie lines up next year. You should just line that up.
Yeah,
maybe the Shrek movie had so little interest that they had to sell the rights to Power Wash Simulator so they could actually get some interest generated in the movie.
Yeah, it's an odd hybrid collaboration which I didn't think we wanted, but you know, I'm sure there's some Shrek fans probably. I don't know. They might be in the same room as the Indiana Jones fans. I don't know.
If you've cleaned everything in Power Wash Simulator, you've all of a sudden you've got something else to clean, haven't you? Let's face it. And how do you clean a swamp without taking it down to the bedrock itself?
I think this is going to be the bestseller of this year, and it's going to have y'all saying, "Now I'm a believer."
What the hell? Not guilty. What's next?
You know, sometimes when we're trying to get to sleep in our little sleeping bags, George, and then Longhorn comes over, he rubs you on the head, and he says, "Good night, my little morsel." Well, this game, so this game's Morsels. Now, it's another roguelike. It's another roguelike, and to be honest with you, I feel like I'm all a bit rogued out.
No.
The developer described it as strange, right? Now, I just found it odd the developer described it as strange. It's like they were trying to go all out there. It's like an isometric top-down shooter, I believe, from what I could see of it. But again, yeah, it looked like an okay game. I think just because I'm playing, unless it's Hades 2, I think because I've been playing so many roguelikes recently, unless it's something that really stands out, it just looked very similar to what I'd seen before. I mean, I don't know. It might just be, guys, because I've played too many of them recently, but I didn't see anything that stood out to me in comparison to other roguelikes we've had in the past 12 months.
No, nothing for me either. I mean, some people say there aren't enough roguelikes, and I say, well, maybe there's a bit too many now. Everything seems to attach roguelike. Okay. Everything seems to attach roguelike to its name in the hope that it gets some form of high praise. Seb, tell me the opposite. Tell me why we need another roguelike.
Roguelikes is a genre that it hasn't been oversaturated yet. I think Souls games have been the oversaturated.
Do you not remember where every time Ray used to turn up, I used to be like, "Go on, Ray, we got ourselves another roguelike."
But man, I'm like, think about it. Like, you got card collecting games. You got, you know, like you got your Souls likes and Souls games that are all around us and stuff like that. Roguelikes, you know, I feel like haven't hit that oversaturated point. Metroidvanias, I think, have hit that point.
Yes, yeah, you're right with that. Yeah, there's too many of those.
So I was about to say, I'm like, man, I think like in contrast to some of the other genres that's being represented, sure, we're getting a lot more roguelikes, but yeah, I'm like, we're getting a lot of everything. I think just across the board, it's just oversaturation.
I tell you one genre,
especially the simulators.
Let me say, there's one genre that I don't really feel has been given the attention it deserves. And the other day, I was out around and about, and I thought to myself, do you know what I need? Do you know what I actually need? A simulator that people are actually going to get behind. A dating simulator. But I don't just want any kind of simulator for dating. I want a sandbox simulator. One where I can, I don't know, date my Kenwood magic mix. Tell me, Scott, does that sort of game exist for a weirdo like me?
It's funny you should say that, because I was at work earlier today. I've got a temporary job in El Paso, just while I'm stationed here, just in case the listeners were curious. And I was sitting there at the laptop, and I packed the laptop away, and then I was just looking at the desk, and I just thought, it's a shame to leave this desk here overnight. You know, I'm going to get something to eat. Maybe it wants to come out for dinner, you know. And I thought, is that strange? Am I odd? Am I alien? The fact that I want to take my desk from work out on a little date. And then all of a sudden, upon the direct on Indie World, we have a game called Date Everything. Now, already hands up dibsies. I am going to do a review for this for the show, because I'm very excited for it. This comes out in October 24th.
Soon,
do not try and adjust your radio tuners, guys. This is a real game that's out. So you can date household objects. Now, I thought it was. I've seen dating simulators before, and I'm not sure what sort of person they appeal to. They're a bit wacky and wonderful. I mean, this does say not just boyfriend, girlfriends. It also says friends you can make. But you can literally date anything in this sim. Seb, have you seen this ludicrously we're talking about?
Yeah. This was also on Steam Next Fest, I believe. I think this is
completed it.
kind of. Yeah,
he's got the platinum. He's got the platinum.
Nah, not yet. But no, I think this is wacky. I think this is nice and fun. I like the dating sim kind of genre mixed in there. I think that's always fun, and always it has a little mix of like levity mixed in with like some hardcore storytelling elements, and I think we need that in the world. So I don't necessarily think this is going to knock anyone's socks off, except for like hardcore fans.
Oh, for me it will. Yeah, I'm out there. I'm so invested in this, right? I really want to play it just because it's so out there. I'm just curious. So I'm going to get the game, but I'm a bit concerned and worried because when they do like a big box version limited game, and it's a special edition, and you normally get something with it. I'm scared they're just going to package the game in a huge box, and I'm just going to open it, and I'm going to pull out a lamp. They might just send me a lamp or something random like that because it's all topical and themed. So I really don't know what to expect.
So you don't know what household appliance you're going to get in your special edition?
No. I mean, they might just send me a toaster.
I think you might want to date the narrator.
Before we move on to the next game, we need to go around the room really and find out from everyone. So, Seb, we'll come to you first. If you had to date one item from your household, or from this very basement, which one would it be? If you had to, gun to your head, the fridge. A good shout.
Yeah, the fridge. Yeah, the fridge.
I think I would date Pastor's performance rag. He has a small piece of muslin that he kind of dots his brow with when he's performing on stage, a little bit like Elvis. He wrings it out on occasion, so it's what I would call a moist piece of rotten fabric. I think that's what I would date.
Oh,
I was thinking toxic ones.
Yeah. I was going to take out one of Longhorn's hearing aids, and because I don't think that gets enough attention.
I think you like wax.
I think I'll give it I'll clean it up first. Give it a little scrub.
Okay.
Think of the things it's heard, though. I mean, it might tell you secrets.
It's weird that he only has one in one ear.
It's weird he only has one ear and that really long arm compared to his other one.
It's a big arm.
It's a strong arm.
What's the next game?
Okay, so I'm going to put on the hypocrite light on myself for this one because the next game is called Peglin. Now, I actually think this game looks pretty good.
What sort of game is it?
So it is a turn-based RPG / roguelike elements within it. So you've got, yes, yeah, they're all in there. So it's a team of 7 have been working on this apparently for 4 years.
Wow.
And basically to do moves and get special powers to heal, you don't know what items you're going to get. A little ball will sort of drop down from above. It's like 2D, those sort of graphics, like 8-bit. And then it will drop down this little ball down on these pegs, like an old sort of carnival game. And as it ricochets through, depending on what pegs you get, is what abilities you get. It was very, very unique. It was actually quite interesting.
That's the pachinko element then, isn't it?
Yes, that is exactly, yeah. Like, to be fair, I think they did say that in their description. They did say that's where they got that from. It's a timed exclusive. But yeah, it's different. Yeah, it looks really good. The only thing that I looked at it straight away because I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get that. But I just feel like it's $17.99. I just thought the price of that should be, I mean, I'm splitting hairs over a couple of pounds, really. I'm not sure on the exchange rate over at El Paso. But yeah, $17.99. I just feel like it should be a few quid less than that. I would have jumped on it. It put me off a little bit. If it's a physical, I wouldn't mind. But
$12.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much game there is there for me, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Have you seen much of that, Seb?
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, it's out now on Steam as well. So I'm like, it's one of those where I'm like, it seems like if you like Peggle and want something very similar to that, maybe this will it'll strike that itch.
It had a pachinko element as well, didn't it?
Yeah, so I think if you're kind of in the mood for that sort of thing, I think you should check this one out, especially considering I think this might have a little more oomph than Peggle, just because it has those roguelike elements into it. So yeah, I think it's a cool little indie. I hope it
Yeah,
succeeds.
same here. It looks fun. It does look cool.
Yeah.
What next? Because these 3 games all merge into one for me. But what's this next one?
Oh, well, this next one is called Wobbly Life. And to be honest with you, this just literally looks like a Sims version of Fall Guys. I don't know if it's the same developers.
That's a box quote.
Did you not think the same thing looking at the game? I thought, oh, it's Fall Guys. I was like, oh no, it's they're in like a sim world. Yeah, Wobbly Life.
It definitely gives that unpacking vibe as well. Have y'all played that?
Yes, it looks exactly like that. Yeah,
it's that physics-based gameplay.
I'm relatively intrigued by it, to be fair. It's not hideous, is it? And it's certainly got some interesting elements. I find the Fall Guys element of it. I found Fall Guys, people enjoyed the brokenness of it, but I kind of didn't. As long as this is a slightly cleaner play, I think it could do quite well.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's the next
December.
One?
That's December 24. That one coming out of. So the next one. Now this game looks pretty nice, to be honest. A very decent price. I think it's £6.74. This is Pico Park 2. Now there was a Pico Park 1, which is still out at the moment, which I think is only £3.19 on Switch. Yeah. So this looks like a fun little couch co-op game for kids or 40-year-old Indiana Jones fans. But I would actually give this game a little go, to be honest with you. It had different levels, all of them looked very unique. There were 60 levels, and you could play it single player as well and still complete the game, or you could have, I think, up to 3 friends. I thought this game looked pretty cool, to be honest with you, and for a nice little price, I thought that's a nice little indie. I don't know if you felt the same, George, with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look of it, to be honest. It's always nice to be able to play through something with your friends. I think Pico Park lends itself to that. It's also something that, because of the visuals and the way it looks and feels, it's something that would appeal to the younger members of the UCP audience as well. So I think that,
definitely.
With its rather objective art style, it kind of is quite all-encompassing. So I'm quite excited to see how that performs against the original. It's exciting stuff. Well,
have you played the original?
I haven't, but it's one of those games that every time I go on the eShop, it's kind of there or thereabouts. So I've peered at it several times and been kind of intrigued by it, but I'm not really someone that does really a great deal of local play, or as the listeners know, a great deal of online multiplayer. But if this was something like a local play with James the Work Experience Boy, or one of the young nameless children that Pastor has walking around the combine.
Yeah, a nice game for dads to play with their kids. I think that's a good way of putting it, really.
Or mumsies.
It looked pretty fun. Or mumsies. Have you played it, Seb? Pico Park?
No, I have not. This wasn't even on my radar, to be honest.
Well, it is now.
Well, we can all play it tonight underneath the moonlight. We can feed ice cream into each other's mouths.
Oh,
we don't need that.
If it wasn't going to get his copy struck, I think I'd play in the background now. Dancing in the moonlight.
Do you know what? You've sung it so well, we might still get the strike. That was flawless.
I don't think Top Loader have got anything to worry about.
I've just used Shazam on my phone, and it literally, the song came up. That's how in tune you was.
Oh, crikey. Best see if you could edit that out.
It was a good rendition.
Guys, enough now. You're going to get paid, okay? Enough. It was awful. What's next?
Well, the next one's a very popular game. Actually, I'll tell you what, these next ones that came out, I believe these were really quick, sort of 10 to 30 second clips. So there's quite a few games that popped up. They literally showed you a little brief one. So what I'll do is I'll just say the names of each of them, and then because only about half a dozen, and then we can have a little chat about the ones that stand out after.
Yeah.
So we had another Shovel Knight on there popped up. Europa, Casino, On Your Towel. We had Metal Slug Tactics. I know a lot of people talking about that. The Plucky Squire. Yeah, all of those ones popped up before another game featured, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I mean, Europa looks pretty good. Shovel Knight's really popular. To be honest with you, I've just stayed a little bit away from it. I think I saw a bit of a friend playing it, but I didn't quite get all the hypes about. But I know it's very, very heavily praised, and people love that game.
I thought the one that stood out to me out of the ones you just mentioned is the Europa. I quite like the idea of
a 3D action platformer. It's a bit of a dead genre these days, I feel. Back in the day, you couldn't release a game unless it was a 3D action platformer. Now they're kind of few and far between. And this one's got a cool gimmick, if memory serves. There's like almost like a pogo stick stroke jump pack that you use for level transition, which I actually thought was pretty cool. Again, a 3D action platformer is a bit beyond the pale these days. Not really, if they're good enough. So excited. I do believe there's a demo out for that currently on Europa. So
that's really good to know, actually. Yeah. So if anyone's listening and wants to check that out.
I think it would be
always appreciate a demo. Yeah.
Everyone loves a demo.
Yeah. I used to like getting them on the old magazines. I mean, I miss those days. Really
they
do.
make you feel like you had a game collection, even though you had nothing but a pack of multi-pack crisps.
Well, when me and my sister first got our PlayStation, just veering off track for a second, we was given our first PlayStation, the nice grey boxy one, and we was just given a stack of demos, and we were none the wiser. So a friend's son or daughter had a stack of demos they didn't want, and that was all me and my sister had for months. And that was so we had played 5 minutes of every game. It was brilliant. It was absolutely.
So was this a Christmas gift?
It must have been, yeah. Yeah, it must have been.
So what did Christmas morning, what's your game demo that when you think of PlayStation and that day when you were a wide-eyed youth, where you ripped that paper back and you saw the Sony word in the top right-hand corner and you just literally, you might as well rented two 500-gram pots of Greek yogurt in your nether regions. Which game made you feel that excited?
Well, there's a lot of things that pop into my head, but I'm a strong believer in corrupt memories because I've said a lot of things and you could put me on a lie detector, I'll say something's factual, and then I'll go back and check, and then I'll find out I'm wrong. So sometimes what your memory does, when you have an old memory, it will stick other false things to it to help you remember it. So for example,
seduce me now with your false memory.
Yeah. So my false memory, I remember Abe's Odyssey, but I think it's just because my sister loved the game and I wasn't a massive fan. And then Crash Bandicoot. But again, we had the PlayStation game, had the actual whole game. So it might just be, I remember seeing all the discs, but I can't remember a particular demo that we kept on going to play. So yeah, it's hard to really pinpoint which one. But well, thank you for taking me down that little memory lane down El Paso. I didn't realise the street translated over here.
What? That was really... After that flashback, bring us back to modern times with what came out of the Indie Showcase next, or out the partner direct, I presume now.
Yeah, so those are little 5-10 second clips, and then they said, right, this is the final game we're going to be showing of the indie world, and they said stay tuned because we've got the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase coming up, and this is a game that I wasn't aware of. Seb's always in the know, so it'd be interesting to see if he had heard of this one being leaked at all. So this was Pizza Tower.
Whoa, man.
Oh, go on, Seb. Take us away, because I don't know much about it other than what I saw.
Oh, it's good. This was probably in my top 10 indie games of last year list. I think it was like number 3, but it barely edged out of number 1 and 2. Pizza Tower. Yeah, Pizza Tower is really good. It's a Mario-like 2D platformer that is Mario meets Wario, and like
that is exactly what I thought. It looked like a Wario game. It looked wacky. The way it was going through it reminded me of that gold one. I think it was on the GameCube. It reminded me of that. Yeah.
So the crazy premise is that each level has a theme to it. So like as you're going through each level, you're trying to get to the end, and every single one of them has this wacky theme, whether it be like you get alien powers. Oh, you this time you're a ghost and you have to use ghostly abilities. Oh, this time you're like this time you're being chased by something, so you have to use like this ability that's very curated to this specific level. Oh, this time you're a skateboarder. So it's like every single pizza delivery that you do in every mode or every level is very different. Like I think there's almost like 100 levels and none of them are the same. Like none of them are even remotely close to the same thing. But like,
are they procedural or have they all been curated by hand?
No, they've all been curated for sure. You can definitely tell they've all been curated. But then like, then the kicker part is like for a lot of these levels, once you get to the end, there is a almost like a reverse mode in the sense to where like you get to the end, congratulations, you beat the level. Now here's a timer and let's see how you could do that whole level in reverse now. and that's how you beat that. That's how you beat the entire level. And like the reverse part of that game, and trying to remember all the wackiness and zaniness of like everything that happened to you and everything you avoided to get to that point at the end, is like so rewarding and so fun. It presents like new challenges that you were thinking to yourself like, oh, I barely made it out of that one. Oh, now I have to do it all over again, but in reverse. Oh wait, I unlocked a shortcut when I did that first time. Oh, I can kind of take that shortcut. It's like the game evolves, and the level design is so good that I think, like, to me, this is the platformer I point to whenever I tell people like Nintendo needs to step up in this next generation, because like indie games, like, I kid you not, Mario Wonder was good. Pizza Tower ate its lunch. Like, if you look at reviews for Pizza Tower, like, there are straight 9s and a lot of 10s across the board. Like, the only reason this one, as far as like a lot of Game of the Year contenders last year, is the fact that it was on PC. So a lot of people didn't know about it. You know, like, it was a PC only game at that time. And like, it also didn't get the Nintendo Direct treatment or the PlayStation Plus treatment or anything like that. If it would have got that treatment, I think this would have been a lot of people's, if not Game of the Year, indie Game of the Year for sure, with a bullet. You know, like,
I'll tell you what, the listeners obviously can hear the passion, but I can see, sitting opposite you in this room, I can see the passion in your facial expressions. I already know this one is your pastor out of all of them, because you're hyping this one up to me, and I'm on Nintendo Online now. I've already hit the pre-download. I'm starting to think Seb might have. Seb's got shares in it. I think he's talking me up here.
I don't know if there's something clandestine going on within Pastor and half the indie development gaming scene that we don't know about. We're just like pawns in their sick game.
I kid you not. Like, on Steam right now, this has. No, man, I completely endorse this game with a bullet. Like, this game has 43,000 reviews on Steam right now, and only like 100 of those are negative.
Okay, quick question then, Seb. You're on a desert island. You've got any console of your choice. It's a powerful engine. You'll probably choose a Switch as it's the most powerfulest. Now, you can take two games. You've got to choose one. It's either Pizza Tower or Squirrel with a Gun. Which one are you saying?
Oh, Pizza Tower, but it's close.
We might forget that segment later.
It's Pizza Tower. Yeah, I think Pizza Tower gives you like so many evolving levels, and so many levels that you could forget. Like, if you were to replay it, you could forget. Like, oh, I forgot that this was at the beginning of those games. Like, I kid you not, I could pick up that game right now on a Steam Deck and completely have forgotten like 20 or 30 of those levels.
I'm buzzing now. That's enough for me. I mean, George, has he sold it for you as well?
He has. And what is amazing is that Pizza Tower came in and kicked the back doors off of the Direct. But Scott, don't keep us salivating here like hungry dogs waiting for Pavel's bell. What did the mighty Nintendo give to us next?
Well, Nintendo did what Nintendo does. So they went very controversial, and they threw a first game which would appeal to some, maybe to many, but not to all. And that was Tetris Forever, a 40th anniversary compilation. And then they even announced at the back of that the NES version available online this winter. I'm not sure how many people are jumping up and down too much about that one, but I will say this in its defence. I was digress a little bit. I was taking part in the little sort of 10 questions on YouTube, a little thing that was trending recently within the gaming community. And a couple of retro gamers did say, we was asked our favourite game, and a couple of people did say Tetris. They said it's one of those games that just keep going back, and they all mentioned different versions of it. And to be fair, I don't think it gets enough credit, because they do keep... I mean, I enjoyed Tetris 99. They do keep pumping different versions in. This one had like a battle version in there as well. But yeah, for me, it wasn't one that I was going to... It was a bit of a strange start, I thought. And they did say all these games are second half of 2024. I'm starting to think this one was first in the list, because it's probably one of the few that's actually coming out this year.
As a little aside on that, the collection of games collected in Tetris Forever also has a documentary video and some digital artifacts, so you can literally trace the history of this Russian software all the way through to its current iteration in Tetris Forever, which is quite exciting. So, yeah, I mean, Tetris has never been far away from the history of video games. It's nice to see it celebrate its 40th
it's in every
anniversary.
documentary. Yeah, do you guys see the film? Did you see that?
I have not.
If anyone wants to get my original take on it, I think in the history of the original Game Boy and another episode, which eludes me at this moment, I did a deep dive on the creation of Tetris because I tell you what, that movie, it doesn't even cover half of it. I don't think we even covered 2/3 of it when we did the episodes. There's lots of chunky stuff about Tetris, its development, how it made its way over here, how it got itself secured. That is incredible. So fascinating story.
Am I right in saying that is the best-selling game of all time, or is it just on Nintendo Game Boy that it was? I know.
No, it's the best-selling game of all time.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, who are we to disrespect it? Let's be honest. So
not at the
rightly
UCP.
so. No. So let's embrace it. But this next one, I was actually really, really excited for. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys think. This was Star Overdrive. So it was like you're on a hoverboard on alien planets. It looked a bit like a mashup of like Jet Set Radio and No Man's Sky almost, with RPG elements. It doesn't come out to 2025, and I'm gutted because, to be honest with you, that would have been one I would have ordered straight after the video. That looked really, really cool. What did you guys think of that one, George?
I'll be honest, that kind of passed me by. I don't know anything about it. Again, from your notes, we know it's a 3D open world first-person action adventure game. Something that's actually seriously lacking on Switch. And I think that this is the kind of thing that the Switch is lacking. So it's nice to see this get covered off. Other than that, I don't really have much more to say on it. I like the art style.
It looked really smooth. I thought it didn't like
for
a
Switch
minute there.
game,
I mean, I don't want to make Seb chuckle, but graphically, it looked amazing.
Well, you did. But I agree. I think that if it can bring that performance to the handheld mode of it and still be as enjoyable as it looked to be, it's another game that will be added to my Switch collection for sure.
Is it on the is that PC as well? Steam Deck, Seb? Star Overdrive?
This is.
Yeah, everything is, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's the theme. It all comes out on there first.
Yeah.
You test it. You're the guinea pigs from I've forgotten the name of the GeForce. The GeForce guinea pigs test the games out.
Much controversy nearly
Steam.
in the Discord when we didn't correct ourselves.
Yeah,
the fact that they were guinea pigs.
So you guys test it out with the GeForce guinea pigs, and then once you fine-tuned it, you send over the complete version to the Switch.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
The living test bed. Come December, by the way, we're doing an episode where me and you get together somewhere and we go sell our Switches at CEX and the associated collection, and we walk out with a Steam Deck and I was going to say a smile, but it might not be.
Yeah, the light of the world will just illuminate upon you at that point as you walk out, and you'll go home and you'll be like, I can afford 300 games for about $50.
Well, I'll tell you what, it will. The algorithm and prices of the games, some of them might crash, because once I trade in 13 copies of Far Lap Pulse Racing Challenge for the Nintendo Switch, I think we might see a decrease there in stock price.
Is that why the price went up? Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want, do you know what? I thought, what if this game breaks and I can't ride another horse again? And then I started thinking, like if you stand in a mirror with a mirror behind you, you can see an infinite world. I was basically picturing an infinite game cartridges just all of a sudden combusted and just not working. So I thought, well, if I'm going to buy a backup copy, I better buy a backup to the backup copy. And then anyway, I had a few Stella Artois. Next thing you know, I've gone to CEX and bought 13 copies.
If CEX had 13 copies of Far Lap, I'll eat my crock. I will eat my crock twice.
This next one, George.
I thought this wasn't allowed on premises because it's got similar eyes to pasta, and its horns are slightly longer.
Yes, and we're not talking about Satan. This is Goat Simulator 3. Now, I said briefly before, I think last week, which I actually really want to play a Goat Simulator game. I said that's what I hope to play this week. Yeah, a similar game with goats. Probably a guinea pigs, from our biology. Well, I mean, we're not too good of separating, what what
It's
these
a
different
furry
vermin
animal,
are.
right? It's a furry animal. They're all the same. In the dark,
They're all the same.
there's not much to pick between a guinea pig and a hamster, Scott.
Now, I watched a performance review from a very good YouTube channel called Switch Up. They're very good. They bring some good news
They are
across
actually.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do like watching those guys, and they're
Do you
quite
know
nice.
those
They do
guys?
interact. I don't know them. They have commented on a video of mine before, so they do keep it real, which is very
Do
nice
they?
to see.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
they do keep it real. Yeah, so they do keep it real as they do, and they did a performance review of it, and you know, they never sit on the fence, and they won't be afraid of upsetting a particular developer. They will say the truth. I do appreciate when someone receives a code and says, "Do you know what? This game needs some work on," and then they'll even do an all patched up series where they revisit games once they've slagged them off. They speak to developers and they say, change this, this, and that. And the ones that listen to them, they'll go, fine, we'll showcase that for you. And this game, I'm hoping that will happen in the future because they showed it and they said, even in the Nintendo Direct like trailer, they said, you know, it looked buggy there, it looked glitchy, it didn't look like it was running at the right frames per second that it should have done. And then they played it and they was like, yeah, it really doesn't. So a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you, I think, with that one, George, Goat Simulator 3.
It's a shame because it's a series that's always. I mean, it's got similarity in the title, so you'd think I'd be all over it like eczema on a bad piece of conditioned skin, but I'm not all over it like eczema, and I don't know why. I think it's because you control a goat and not some form of agricultural machinery. Although I suppose pre-industrialization, a goat was a piece of agricultural machinery, but it's most definitely not for me. But I do see in the videos the fun and the enjoyment you can get from doing crazy things with a goat with an outrageously long tongue.
Yeah, it was odd. The next games that come out, now this was a bit strange because there's some really good games coming up here. This was sort of like a rapid fire, a bit of almost, they treat it like filler.
Why don't you do it like
I'm
they
going to
did
read
it?
through it. Yeah, I'm going to read through them and then we'll talk about them at the end. But there's some really good games in here. So they mentioned, in no particular order, Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky. They mentioned, Star Wars Hunters. They mentioned Stalker.
Star Wars Hunters.
and then-
I know I said do them all, but one thing that most appeals to me about Star Wars Hunters is Hillbush, the explosive Ewok. Now, I know we triggered Carlos, I think, in the comments because he came in here talking about, I think you made a reference.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was my fault. Yeah.
Jawas and Ewoks, but an explosive Ewok. I'd love to hear what Carlos thinks about that. What's
Let
next?
us know in the Discord.
Yeah, please do. Stalker.
Worms Armageddon. Now, there is rumours, if you are cool enough to be in the Discord, Digital Monkery, one of our loyal members, is actually the challenge accepted. I think we're safe to say now, for when this episode airs, that that is going to be the next challenge for challenge accepted.
Yeah,
so if anyone wants to join in, a nice little high score fun, join the Discord. Every month we do a nice little challenge accepted. And then sometimes, not every time, but sometimes there's even a little prize that gets sent your way. So it's definitely joining in.
Prize.
Just for bragging rights alone, guys. Check that out. It's in the show notes if you do want to click on the invite link on there. But we had Disney Dreamland, Dreamlight Valley. That's had a lot of patching up actually in DLC. I see quite a lot about that. Then it went to a normal clip. So we'll save the next game. But Star Wars Hunters. There's a lot of people that appreciate that. Now, the Stalker, I know there's a bit more to that title. Those were big PC games, I believe, first-person shooters. I believe they're pretty decent. Yeah. I thought, wow, I thought they would have dwelled on that a little bit more, to be honest with you.
What version are we getting, though? And therefore, is it...
It looked like I don't know, was it all of them? I'm not sure if it was a collection.
It refers to the trilogy.
Yeah. Legend of Heroes, which is an open world RPG. And like I said, Star Wars Hunters, that's an online co-op shooter, like third person. But yeah, some decent games in there. I was quite surprised they banded them together in that way. But yeah, I don't know if you had to choose one of those, George. So Legend of Heroes, Star Wars Hunters, Stalker, Worms Armageddon, Disney Dreamlight Valley. I mean, that's more for the younger audience.
Yeah, I think out of that, I'm probably going to pick Stalker Legends as its own trilogy. I don't know much about it, but it's always been talked of favourably. The fact it's coming to the Switch so I can play it in Pastor's cellar.
I was going to say I've not played a good first-person shooter lately, but I want to get the first-person Indiana Jones game, don't I? So I can tell Seb how good it is. So maybe I'll put that
When
one on the
Seb
back
gets to be
burner.
40 years of age, he'll love it. But until then, he doesn't.
I
he
think
doesn't have
he's
the
just
capabilities.
he's gone quiet because he's just downloaded it now. I believe he's just going full diving into it. Now the next game, George, was a SpongeBob SquarePants game. Again, they're very good games from what I hear. I caught the back end of that because I'm of a certain age. To the young audience and fans of the show, they'll love it. But yeah, it was a Patrick game. It looked a bit like almost Octodad. I don't know if there was a bit of physics involved. I saw him hanging from some monkey bars, but I mean, SpongeBob's pretty wacky. But I believe that comes out October 4th. So
is
not
SpongeBob wackier than this show or no?
I mean, it's on par. You'd have to. I was about to say you got to ask what Stingray thinks, but we can't ask him now. But the fact that I'm even
Stingray's dead,
referencing,
baby.
the fact that I'm referencing Stingray, that just goes to show you we're more wacky, baby, and we're more.
The weird thing is, there's people that have joined the podcast audience only in the El Paso era, and they don't even know who Ray is.
They're starting to wonder why this Lincolnshire accent and this Essex accent has made its way to a dark, dingy basement in El Paso. They're so confused, and they probably think, because, Seb's got more of the local dialect with the accent, they probably think that Seb's Longhorn and he's captured us. If you're a first-time listener, that is.
Oh, well, yeah, no doubt, because he sits there all commanding as well, leaning back in his indie king chair, in his throne. I don't know why I called it a king chair when it blatantly got a name, which is a throne. But,
well, he is 12 foot. Yeah, he's 12 foot when he's sitting down, so that does make sense. Now, this
absolutely no sense, but I love it for that.
Now, this next one, I actually think these are really good.
He's a good 12 foot stood down, 6 foot stood up.
And he's half an inch when he's laying down. Right, fitness boxing free. Now, there's 2 new instructors on this game. Now, this game looks pretty. I think these are good. Fitness games I enjoy. I like a bit of Just Dance. So sue me. I think anything you can do, like Ring Fit, that gets you. I know a lot of people that have Oculus and VR games just to get fit, for example. I've got a friend on Nintendo Switch. I can't remember why I befriended him, so I must have played him on an online game, and he must have sent me a friend request, and we must have met up and played there again. Probably Friday the 13th, because he's been on there a while. And he plays it every night for an hour. Like every night he'll come online. Fitness boxing, and he's done thousands of hours, thousands. So it's quite good, really. I see it's good. Anything that helps you get in a bit of shape. I see they've added in an addition, 2, one that's not relevant and one that's helpful. We'll go through the relevant one first. Is you can now sit down.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Relevant one. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It's not about the games. Right. It's not about any of that. Seb had to nip out the cellar. He's come back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought they were sunglasses. They're just normal glasses. Glasses look like sunglasses in the dark, though, don't they? Let's face it.
Yeah, they really do.
It's a clear sky out there. I didn't realise the vent was left open. Is that how you got out?
Yeah, I crawled out, man, and then I was like, man, I gotta get some glasses on real quick. These contacts.
I'm quite surprised. Yeah, bearing in mind you're 12 foot sitting down, I'm quite surprised you fit through the vent. To be honest, as you slid out there.
Oh man, I've been watching Die Hard like crazy, man. So I got all kinds of vent crawling skills.
Oh yeah, you was through that vent.
While you were away, we ended up adding some new law for you.
Yeah, sorry, Seb. You're now 12 foot sitting down, but 6 foot standing up.
I'm not even that in real life.
I want people to be really shocked when they bump into you. That's what I want. I want
coming to London soon, though, Seb. Is it too soon to announce that you're part of the UCP tour is happening and you're coming to the UK?
Yeah, coming to the UK. I am not 6'7" or 12 feet sitting down, so I don't want people to. I don't want people to look at me in real life and think, "Damn, he looks like Gary Coleman." Like he's like,
That's
like
a deep cut, but that was awesome.
Yeah, with those kind of expectations, people are going to look at me and think I was Kevin Hart at that point.
Well, Kevin Hart's not as funny as you, Seb. I'll tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
He got a patch. Not on our set.
Especially not in Borderlands.
What? No patches for Borderlands. Welcome. What's next?
A game that needs. I'm not finished yet, Holden George. This is big news. Okay, so what I was going to say, you can sit down in fitness boxing free, and the biggest news of the game is there are 5 instructors, and you can now change their hairstyles. Now, I don't want to take that information away from the listeners because someone might be on the fence going, I want to get in shape, but I'm not sure. And now they go, oh, Scott just said on the Unofficial Controller podcast that I can change the hairstyles. And now they've purchased the game. So why would you want to take that information away from them, John?
I don't know why. I mean, I guess to all the listeners that are big fans of fitness boxing too, suddenly there was a reason to jump off the fence and go grab yourself the third installment because remember Brian teaching you boxing all last year? Totally annoying. His hair did your head in. Well, guess what? You give him a slap head now. Simple.
All 7 of y'all are going to rejoice about this feature.
Hit us up with some more. Hit us up with another round of high volume numbers.
Sure. So we had then coming up little speed round. So we had 2 side basic version beat 'em ups. We had a Capcom Fighting Collection 2 and a Marvel versus Capcom Arcade Classics. Now, they both come out this year. There's lots of games within them. I'm not going to name them all because I don't know why they did, in truth. So that's interesting for some people. Now, this next game I thought was pretty good, but good luck printing this game on the spine of a Nintendo Switch game. Right, get ready for this one. I'll take a little deep breath. This is called Astilia Yumia, the Alchemist of Memories and the Envision Land. So I don't know how they're going to fit that. I don't know if anyone's seen a Nintendo Switch game, but it's the size of a DL envelope, which is smaller than an A5. I think that's half the size. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 words there. I don't know if we're going to fit that on the spine of a game, but it looked very, very good. Looked really good.
They always look great.
That's what.
One thing I want to just labour on, and it's something that the beautiful Roast Space Monk, a forever loving Dreamcast fan, noted that in the Fighting Collection you're going to get access to Power Stone and Power Stone 2, 2 Dreamcast power hitters. I think that made it to PSP potentially in a pack. And maybe to other platforms, but Power Stone 1 and 2, very well talked of through the history of gaming. Great local co-op multiplayer fighting game. So if you're on the fence looking for something new or you want to relive your Dreamcast memories, grab yourself Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So what's next, sir?
Okay, without upsetting anyone, because I'm a big fan of this particular little franchise, and one of my brother-in-laws, it is his favourite game of all time, and he made me get it. I'm going to try and pronounce it right. Suikoden. So Suikoden. If I've pronounced it wrong and butchered the name, I do apologise. So 1 and 2. I know Suikoden 2. I know it had a series that went later on into PS2.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I mean, I just did a quick Google because I didn't want to upset anyone, and it said Suikoden. But I know a friend, Mitch, who recently picked this game up from a boot sale, believe it or not, and he actually told me the pronunciation of it, but I've forgotten it.
I thought it was like Suikoden.
That's better. Let's go with, that's it. We've edited out what Scott said. We're going with what George said. But yeah, it's a remastered version of 1 and 2. Now, I own the second game on PS1.
Scott, I know that you kind of passionately entwined with the show, but I don't know if you know that the edit side of the show has been a long-running joke where we don't actually edit.
I just thought I'd throw that into. To be honest with you, mate, I wanted to see you sweat. So I
was sweating. I was like, please don't make me go that.
Yeah. I was going to follow it up with a swear word just to really get you sweating.
We're all allowed one, and no one else has indulged themselves yet. It's only me.
I'm saving mine for the series finale.
Okay, fine.
So I mean, a remaster of this game would be fantastic. I mean, the physical collector is worried that the game would go down in price, but I'm not looking to sell the game. I'm just glad that it's coming because I've enjoyed Final Fantasy remasters. I've enjoyed going back and playing. I remember completing Dragon Quest only a year ago. I never played them originally. So I really enjoy it. And it's selfish of me not to want these games to be shared with a new audience, a new generation, because these are fantastic games and they stand the test of time. And everyone deserves a chance to play them. So I think that's a great game. Really do think that's a really nice release.
Well, that dovetails into your next one, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because I didn't realise that was on there. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. Now, the only thing I would say about Dragon Quest 3, I've not played it, but be interested to hear from you guys. So I completed Dragon Quest. I loved it. I went to play the second game straight after. But you had little buddy with you. And when I had to control 2 characters, I didn't like it, man. I just found it very difficult and it put me off, and I didn't play it through to completion. So I don't know on the third one. Have you got a little posse with you?
I wouldn't know.
Or is it?
I've always kind of I think I've got one of the Dragon Quest games. I think it might be a PS2 one. The art style appealed to me, I think, off the back of something like I've forgotten the name now.
That's probably Dragon Quest 5. I mean, we're up to about 10 or 15 now. I think
it
we're
was
in Final
5
Fantasy
on PS2.
figures.
Yeah,
we're in the Final Fantasy numbers now. It's got to be double digits. There's even spin-off, isn't there? We've got Dragon Quest Builders and all sorts.
Yeah, that was actually quite good, to be fair.
I'm surprised it's not a Lego Dragon Quest game. They've missed a trick there. If they
it's coming.
Give it time.
You heard it here first. Well, I don't know enough about this to know, but it's nice to see that we're getting another remake along with Suikoden, if you want to pronounce it correctly. The Switch has never been short of JRPGs, but now it can certainly hold its head high and say that it's got some of the very best of all time JRPGs available.
Yeah, there's more coming up. I mean, we'll just skip over the next one so we can come back to it. We've got Tales of Grace's F Remastered, which is a very popular RPG. It comes out in Jan 25th. Haven't played that particular game. I know the series is very popular. Seb, is that one that you've played in with the series?
No, I have not. I haven't really drove into a lot of the Tales games, so I'm like, that's something on my backlog that I'll have to get to one of these days.
I know RGT's playing the Mania series, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think I was getting those mixed up. But yeah, that's a very nice addition to have, a remaster of that. Looks very good, very smooth. This so the one before that I just missed over. This one's definitely for Seb. So Sid Meier's Civilization 7, baby.
What?
Yeah,
on the Switch.
Yeah, got that on the Switch, and the previous one plays really well on the Switch. I had it physical, and I gave it to a friend because he loved it a lot more than I did. So he kept hold of that game.
Let me just tell you this: Sid Meier's Civilization 7. I would dump all the games coming out next year, all of them, on the doorsteps of Hades himself to get this game a little bit earlier. I don't every other game can get curb stopped right now. All we're waiting for right now is February 11th, 2025 for us to build our glorious empire and take over the world as we do in Civilization. So everyone be on the lookout, count down with me, and bask in the glory that is Civilization. The new dawn is coming. The new dawn is coming. Civilization is almost here. Don't play everybody. It'll run like dirt. But I tell you what, if you can afford a PC, afford a PlayStation, an Xbox, even a good
sell your grandmother's shoes. Do what you got to do.
Even a good microwave.
Hang on a minute.
You get a better version of this.
You missed out one of the best ways to play this game, Seb. But you mentioned all those consoles. PC, the fridge. But you never mentioned the Switch.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. I'm not even trying to be funny here. Once you get to the later games of Civilization, especially Civilization 6 on that Switch, it takes forever for it to load your next turn because it has there's so much it has to input. Civilization is really good on the Switch at the early games when you only have maybe 30 things on the screen total. But once you have 200 to 500 things that you're loading in at every single turn, it's and I kid you not, this is not even me being a character here. It'll take you 20 minutes to load your next turn, in between turns.
Really?
In between turns.
I think it depends on how many opponents you've got on the map.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
It depends on how many opponents you still have left and how many units you still have left. So I'm think about it like this: even if you only have 3 opponents left, if you have 50 units per city and such like that, that thing adds up, and each one of them already has precursed moves that are predetermined destinations that it has to load in every turn. It takes forever.
I think that's a solid point, and I know they're slightly different games, but when Ubisoft brought Anno over to consoles, they did actually say this generation is the first time we've been able to do it without making compromise. And you can see that. And I think you can see it in Civ on the Switch. Yeah, it plays great. But as you say, if you start to multi-unit up and you've got multiple opponents on the map, things start to slow down. I would say you're slightly in character there, Seb. I don't think it's 20 minutes, but I do feel it's an egregious wait.
No, I mean, I'm I'm not even kidding. Like there was a point in when my wife and I were first dating, and like she lived across the DFW Metroplex than I did at that time. And so I would drive occasionally to her apartment, and I'd bring my Switch with me because there was no such thing as a Steam Deck back then.
Beautiful, beautiful days.
Yeah. So, I kid you not, like I was so much a Civilization addict. I was just like, oh, I gotta play this. I'll just take it on the go. And it got to a point to where we could watch a whole sitcom of like Modern Family or something like that in between like my turn loading up for my next turn. You know, like me ending my turn and clicking the next turn, almost a whole episode of Modern Family would go by before my game would automatically load up for the next turn.
Was that your Netflix and chill program, Modern Family?
Nah, it wasn't that. It was Thor Ragnarok. Around that, you know, Thor Ragnarok was that.
That was your Netflix and one presumes that you've not seen Thor Ragnarok all the way through then, Seb.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it tons of times, but that was the actual reason why, you know, it's a good one to pick for the Netflix and chill, because you'd already seen it. You don't have to go back, you know?
Oh, I see.
You don't have to go back and such like that. But,
just make sure your squeeze has seen it as well.
Yeah, but I digress. I think like Civilization, you know, like if you can make a very, very light situations about like the gameplay, so like not having a whole lot of adversaries, also not having a whole lot of religion, not having a lot of like units. If you can limit it to the very bare bones of like, oh, I'm keeping about like 20 things on screen, it's a fantastic experience on that Switch.
Do you think, obviously we've got the rumored yet still to be announced Switch 2 round the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if that, you know, because I keep looking at this and the announcements that Nintendo are making amongst other people and think to myself, they should be in no rush to bring the Switch 2 out.
I don't. Marketing wise, it doesn't really make sense. Like, you don't really need a Switch 2. Like the Switch, other than the fact that the Switch 1 sales have slowed. It's like if you're looking at hardware sales, it makes sense to bring another one out. Software sales, you're still, you know, ruling the roost of everything you want out of that. But
I think my point where I was going to go with is, if we don't see another Switch, is there a place in the world where we get Civilization Revolution 2, which was like a slimmed down console version of Civ, which still played remarkably well actually and had all the elements in you were looking for? Do you think if we continue here, we might see would you guys like to see a return to that more sort of relaxed version of Civs?
I don't think so. I think companies right now would just rather port a deformed version over to like the platform, almost like Mortal Kombat. You know, like Mortal Kombat, you know, I'm not even trying to be a character here, performed horribly on the Switch, and it was a lesser version, and it was only because like Mortal Kombat 1 wasn't shown the love and attention that a downsized port deserves. Like if you can do a Switch port really well, they just didn't give it that care. And I think companies are not going to want to make a whole nother game when they can just downsource a port, hit copy paste, and go about their business. You know, they don't care how it
Two
runs.
things happened while you made that really solid point. I started to lace up Scott's boxing gloves, and then halfway through your comment, I started to delace them because you'd come down from your point of the Switch is garbage, which I think
I actually think the Switch is a fair console. I just, you know, like...
we need that on a T-shirt. Picture of your face.
It's a fair...
I've clicked that. That's my ringtone now. Whenever someone sends me a text on the pager, it's just going to come up, Seb saying, Switch is a fair console.
It's a fair console. It's the Ubisoft of consoles right now. It's like, I think it's like, you can, if it works for you, it works for you. But like, it's like with the games that we're announcing right now with a third party showcase and developer showcase. It's like, I think a lot of these games, every single one of them would probably play better and run better and look better on any other console. But like, if it works for you, it works for you, you know?
Look, the only thing, like the Switch is fantastic without going off too much subject.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a fantastic machine. They don't want to change too much. I think the only thing they really need to do, and what people really want, because if it's not broken, don't fix it. All we want is a more powerful Switch. So whether that's a more powerful dock or whatever they've got to do. I don't know how they achieve it, but that's kind of, I think, really all they need to do. That's probably like it's still very popular, and it's brilliant what it is, and people are trying to replicate and emulate and change to. They're trying to make their new consoles and take a bit of that design, aren't they? People are sort of going that way, realizing, oh, you can take it on the go as well. You have it docked, undocked. But you don't want to stem too far away from what they've already created. But all of that, like exactly what you said, Seb, all of the games like we've been talking about, like myself with The Witcher, obviously it plays a lot better on a modern console. So if we could just tweak up a little bit that Switch version, I think people would be happy. I think that's all we want, really, you know?
Get it up to PS4 standards, and I think a lot of people would be happy.
PS4 Pro, and they've smashed it.
Just want it to evolve, don't we? Let a meteorite come down from the sky, fall out the stars, and then just straight into that Nintendo Switch, and then just turn it into a hybrid. It might add a little growth on its shoulder for a bit, like a little talking head from Nintendo, and then it might develop into a more powerful sort of addition stuck on the side. But maybe they're concerned of having the name being too similar, it being an add-on, you know, like they did with the Wii U and things like that. And then again, similar with some of the PlayStation accessories, like with the Vita and stuff. Maybe they're just a bit worried about the name change. I don't know. There's too many variables, I think. Save it for another show, that one.
Switch to Dreams. Okay, hit us up with. I'm mindful that people tuned in for some Star Wars Outlaws first impressions.
Yeah, we've got to get that. Let's see if we can scroll through these. So we had Disney Epic Mickey come up on there. There was some Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, which is some more horror mini games in there, and there was a DLC for the Security and Breach ruins as well. Now we had Tales of the Shire, which is a Lord of the Rings game. That actually looks really good. Really interested for that one. There was a Castlevania Dominance collection. Now that's come out now, and there's even some arcade games in there which haven't been ported to home console, I don't believe.
Yeah,
so
that's
that will
interesting.
that is interesting for the hardcore Castlevania fans. Now, Just Dance 20. We don't need to talk about that. Funko Fusion again. EA Sports FIFA. Lego. Right, we can sum it off there. I think the big one, which we saved at the end.
Is it for me?
There was another. There was an Earth Dancer game, which is another farming game, but it had RPG elements. That looked cool. This one's for you, George. Do you know what, George? You know what it is. So take
My
it away.
Sims Cozy Bundle.
Oh, am I doing it? Because I was going to rise up from the grave.
No, George, this is all you. I don't want to take anything away from you. This is your show. You take this away.
I've often played the Switch and thought to myself, oh, do you know what? I wish I had some of my bigger boy games. I wish I had some of my Japanese Mafia games on here. Well, guess what? I sat up like The Undertaker. Upright in my chair, because guess what?
This is the last announcement. Yeah, this was the last one.
I was nearly asleep. But then when this happened, I thought I was dreaming. But it's Yakuza Kiwami. Best bit about it is, even though I've already finished it 2 times, it's irrelevant because it's going to be 3. It's coming out on the 24th of October this year. Yakuza Kiwami. Go back to where it all began. The critically acclaimed action-adventure epic that started the iconic Yakuza series is here. Immerse yourself in a realistic modern-day Japanese entertainment district called Kamurocho as an epic drama unfolds and you're forced to fight through the streets with varying fighting styles, makeshift weapons, and over-the-top moves. I would say that I am shocked they didn't start with 0, but Kiwami's a great place to start. The reimagining of the PlayStation 2 classic that started it all, as they say. I think this looks a little bit more like the PS3 Yakuzas, but either which way, do you know what? It's great. Good game to take on the go.
Excellent. It looks excellent.
It looks excellent for the Switch, and that's not me mounting up on the Seb saddle. Scott, come back to me now. He's done. He's gone. Okay. Well, anyway, I thought it didn't look as good as maybe some of its bigger boy console counterparts, but I still think it looked absolutely amazing. If you haven't, either because you've been locked on Nintendo platforms or you've just let Yakuza pass you by, this is basically an interactive soap opera with fighting in it. And it is probably one of the best gaming series I've ever played. I love Yakuza. Yeah. And if this is your first time getting on board and you're going to get on board with it with your natty little Switch in the corner of your room with your headphones plugged in, I can't imagine. The only other portable Yakuzas we ever got were 2 localized, and they never made it here, although I do believe there are kind of ROM hack fan translations. Was a couple of Like a Dragon PSP games that were more kind of fighting arena games than anything else. So getting Yakuza Kiwami is an absolute boon, and I'm
getting it. I'm getting it. Yeah, 100%. That's why
Have you
down
played
for.
them before, Scotty, or no?
No, I've barely dabbled in. I think the last Yakuza game I think I played, I don't even know if it's related. It was a car game. I think it was called Reckless. I don't know if it's loosely based on it. It was a
No.
Do you know what
I think it's called
talking
Reckless, the Yakuza
Yes.
missions.
Yeah, Yakuza missions. That's probably the last thing. Yeah,
Original Xbox or something daft.
Yeah, GameCube, Xbox. It was on all of those. But no, I haven't dabbled in. I mean, this is. I'm going to jump straight into this. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go through all the back catalogue. I've already looked at CX, how many different games there are. I know there's a couple of collections as well. So
I'd love
probably
to
need
watch you go through the journey.
I'm going through the journey, baby.
Fine. Okay.
Just a small town boy.
Living in Camarucho now.
He took the midnight train to El Paso.
I love it. I love it. It should be the new intro.
Well, let me tell you now.
I know some people weren't that impressed with that Nintendo showcase, but I'll be honest with you. I think considering that they've got Switch 2 coming out allegedly, this is one hell of a strong lineup. Admittedly, not first party heavy, but you know what? There's enough stuff going on there to keep you locked into your Switch for the next 8 months solid. What more could you ask for? Now, gentlemen, we arrive here at this point. Now, I'm dusting sand off my Jedi robes. In fact, I'm burning my Jedi robes, and I'm donning something a little more akin to Han Solo because I'm a roguish rebel with a penchant for blasters and some crazy edge of space Star Wars universe-filled activity. Now, if only there was a game coming out relatively soon, possibly this Friday, or 3 days ago, depending on if you're listening to this on the Sunday when it released, or if you're listening to this on Dave, they're all out of order. You'll have to go find it for yourself. But Star Wars Outlaws, Seb, you have been lucky enough to get hands-on time with this, seeing as you are I don't know why you're the recipient of all of this good stuff, but you are. So we look to you like Obi-Wan to guide us through the very early days, the first 13 hours of Star Wars Outlaws. Seb, let me ask you a question. Is this a Ubisoft mid-game, as we predicted, or has this pulled up its trousers, strapped on its blaster, grabbed its mutated axolotl and gone all in?
Okay, so full disclosure, RGT and I talked about this a bit yesterday, and it's like, I think this is Ubisoft mid, with depending on your mouths may vary per person. You know, I think this is like, I always say, I have this saying in life, is like a true king or a true goat doesn't have to dispute that it's a goat, that they're a king. You know, like if you're a king, you don't have to say it. It's basically what I'm saying. It's like this game is not that. This game is like there are people I've chatted with, you know, while I was playing and while, you know, like others were reviewing this as well. And all of us came down to different lines of like, oh, this game is this, but it didn't quite live up to this. This game is that, but it didn't quite live up to that. Or and then others would say, oh, this game is like exceptionally well in those. And then there'd be some pushback in our discourse where we'd be like, is it though? You know, like, and I think it's not necessarily mid, it's middle of the road divisive is where I'd probably put it. You know, like Star Wars Outlaws is first and foremost, it is an action adventure stealth game with uncharted vibes. And it's like, so a lot of the climbing and a lot of the swinging and a lot of that, you know, like foregoing shooting instead and then running up to your enemies and starting to like punch them down and beat them down that you'd see in the Uncharted games, you see here. Is it better than Uncharted? No, not even. Like a lot of the presentation, I think like looks good. And then I think to myself, I'm like, oh, I run up to another area and I'm like, oh, this area does not look great. Oh, this NPC looks absolutely terrible. Oh, this NPC looks like a Watchdog, like 2 or Legion NPC that they just put on like Star Wars clothes on top of, you know, like it, like there are aspects of it, like the core story.
I wondered what Ubisoft game would form the platform for this, and through some of the reviews and things you said, it really does sound like they've utilized the Watch Dogs engine. Is this true?
I don't think it's the Watch Dogs engine. I wouldn't be surprised if the Watch Dog team was heavily involved in this. You know, like this was Massive Entertainment who did the Division games, like Division 1 and 2. And like sort of feels like that. It like enemies sometimes feel spongy, sometimes they don't. And like I think the story feels,
when you're saying it's in terms of spongy, you mean their ability to soak up your attacks?
yes, like your character, Vess, like she has an ungodly right hand. Like she can punch her way through a lot of things. And she, you know, she's a smaller lady, so it's very surprising. But like your melee is very overpowered in this game. Like your melee ability, but like your shooting abilities feel like the Division and Watch Dogs, where like shooting doesn't necessarily feel like premium, but it's serviceable. I think that's how to sum up this whole game. It doesn't feel premium, but it's serviceable. You know, like
can we look at it through another lens then, sir, if possible?
yeah, for sure.
What about through the lens of more recent Star Wars games? I'm probably thinking more Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order. How does it compare to them?
Completely different beast.
I know completely different beast, but in terms of the visuals, in terms of the presentation, in terms of the universe and the way it tells a story within the universe, can it hold a candle to those two or not?
I think this is, in some areas, it looks better than. I think presentation wise, it looks better than
Survivor.
the Survivor, the Jedi series.
Yeah.
I think in certain aspects it doesn't. You know, like I think because it's more of a curated story and a curated like environment, and it's more like a Metroidvania that is scaled down. Like a lot of the core NPCs look better than they do in this Ubisoft game. However, I think the main story-centric characters look and perform better than they do. A lot of them do in the Star Wars Jedi games.
Right.
Like, so I think gameplay wise, though, completely different beast. One's an open world game, one's a Metroidvania game. I think like I'd almost compare this more to Starfield than I would the Jedi games in a way, to where like Starfield has you know, like you can go to any world at any given time as long as you're near your ship. This is Starfield meets Uncharted. I think is a better comparison than to the Jedi games of the only thing that.
But in the world where I'm from, sounds like it could be a great game.
That's why I'm saying your mileage may vary. Like, I think this game is so fascinating because I was talking to two colleagues of mine who both review games as well. They are starch defenders of this game, but they're also like starch defenders of the Ubisoft formula. I think this game is very different than the Ubisoft formula of like, oh, I see this fortress. Let me go, you know, basically take this fortress down, and that's another checkpoint off my map. This is more Zelda-ish in a way that they try to make every area feel more discoverable. Right. And I think that's a step forward in the right direction. However, it is as checkpointy as you want it to be. You could pop in a little thing around you, and you can pop in like the down button on the directional pad and see like, oh, these are missions in my area, and I can go and check that off. So it is almost like
what about the organic mission discoverability as well? I've heard a lot about that, and people have been enjoying it, where you'll overhear something in a bar and you can piece these items together to actually create a side story. How does that work?
Okay, so this is a light RPG is how I'll put it. Like a light RPG in the fact that like you don't level up by leveling up your skills. You level up by a mentor system. And that mentor system is like different things you find in the area that are connected to other people, or maybe other people will have like other like smaller stories that give you like gadgets or equipment or different things that'll allow you to be better in certain areas, like stealth, like a speeder, like your splicer, which is basically like your lockpick, you know?
Right.
So I think like that is, to answer your question, I think like this is a game that Ubisoft, you can tell, is trying something different. They're trying something different than the Ubisoft formula. It feels like it is a smaller development cycle than what was needed. Like, this is a 3-year development cycle, and you can tell, like, oh, if this was done by a PlayStation native game, or if this was done by Nintendo, they might have had that extra 2 years to really polish in, hammer in game mechanics, make the stealth better, because I do think the stealth is the worst part of this game, and it is the most emphasized part of this game at the same time. And
It's
so,
frustrating, isn't it?
oh yeah, like,
You can
I
go
get-
guns blazing, though, can't you? You don't have to stick to the stealth route, or does it punish you
No,
and reset levels
like-
if you don't?
No, there are a lot of levels in this to where you have to be stealthy. If you're caught, you're dead. Like, it's
Oh no!
So-
To be honest, that was that was really diluted my interest, Seb, when you said that like earlier. To be honest, when you said it was stealth, I was worried how much full stealth there is. Because there's so many games which I try to appreciate, like
Me
Hitman
too.
and Manhunt, for example, Manhunt 2, and I enjoy them, but there's only so much patience because sometimes I just like the gung-ho route. And I understand if you get punished for that route and it's harder, but when it's forced, even in Metal Gear Solid, sometimes I find it a bit frustrating. It does, that might divide a bit of, I don't know. That I was
I think there's a couple of
bit
devices.
saddened to hear
There's-
that, to be honest.
There's a couple of sort of roundabouts on the way into this game from what you've said. So obviously, if you're not into Star Wars, you're going to get spat out immediately because it is very Star Wars. I think the second roundabout.
yes and
is-
no at that same point. Like, I often points in this game, it is very Star Wars. Like, the way you fly your ships and the hyperdrives and like some of the creatures around you and some of the NPCs are Star Wars. Then other points, it feels like canonically this doesn't necessarily pay homage to that, like you would almost want it to, in a way. Like, in a way, I can almost make the argument that I would have preferred Ubisoft make a new IP that was sci-fi centric and try to get a new IP off the ground. And because I'm like, a lot of the parts in Star Wars that to be like Star Wars are missing here. You know, you're not a Jedi, and that's okay. You don't have to be. But then, like, your blaster, you know, like the blaster and the blaster types feel like Division, feel like the Division, and feel like Watchdog gunplay. So the gunplay isn't super great, but it's serviceable. But then, like, on the other points too, like, you want there to be some heavy Star Wars themes into this. And besides, like, the occasional Jabba the Hutt cameos and different things like that style, like, a lot of that's missing. Like, a lot of this is new characters. There is a world, and I won't spoil it, that is like heavily Star Wars. Like, it is a core world of Star Wars. And when you explore that world, that's the part to where, like, you feel like, oh dang, this is a Star Wars game. Other times, like, you know, you're on a speeder and the speeder feels Star Wars, but then the area around you, you're like, okay, this is a sci-fi world, but, you know, like, I have some other stuff to do in this world that doesn't necessarily feel like super Star Wars heavy. So I think it's a tale of two. It's a tale of two halves with, like, how well they did the Star Wars IP versus how much further it could have went. I think this is a game that, like, its untapped potential is, like, what I would caption my review of it right now, of saying, like, this feels like it's Uncharted, but then Uncharted felt punchier, it felt crisper. The rope mechanic felt like it was utilized better. This is also stealth heavy in some of the parts, like Assassin's Creed, but Assassin's Creed does stealth better. But this is also, like, what's another good example? This is also Starfield in the sense that it has space combat, which is really cool. Really cool.
Is it
But,
good?
I actually think this is better than Starfield at space combat and at space exploration. Like, Starfield had a lot of cutscenes and a lot of almost like, oh, press this button to actually lift off, press this button to actually shoot yourself into space. And then there was load screens in between single thing you do, whether it be docking, whether it be landing, whether it be taking off. That felt very stifling. It almost felt immersion breaking in Starfield. In this game, everything, it feels like it flows more seamlessly. And one of the highlights I will say about this game is, like, the cutscenes into, like, gameplay feel so cool. Like, it feels really cool. Like, oh, like there's a story centric cutscene, and oh my gosh, like but the guy I trusted, like he landed us in a bad spot, and my character, chastises him and gets undercover, and then like I had to blink a couple of times, and I'm like, oh snap, they're shooting at me, and I can already shoot back. I'm not in a cutscene, like so. I think that is so cool. Like there are cool parts of this game. I think like the main character, Vess, I think like your mileage may vary on how well you like her. Because for a lot of people, I can see this being an Aloy situation where a lot of people said Aloy was very stifled character that didn't show proper motivations, that felt very bland and generic. Like I can see that for a lot of people. For like, I think this character isn't as good as Aloy because I actually liked Aloy, but I can see the comparisons between.
I liked the character Aloy developed into in the second game. And on a second playthrough, I felt less aggrieved by Aloy in the first game. But I can see your point, and I can see elements of that in the gameplay I've seen, where Vess doesn't scream main character, does she? Really?
No. No. At the same point, but at the same point, it's like I kind of get that art direction of like she doesn't scream main character because she's not a main character of Star Wars. She's just a livable character in Star Wars, and I like that.
That's interesting.
Like, because this isn't a native Star Wars tale. This isn't like a person who's, oh, I got in a bit of trouble, I'm joining the rebellion. This is my story about me being in the rebellion against the Empire. This isn't that. This is like a character who's living in the roguish side of Star Wars. And I like that she doesn't feel like a main character because she isn't a main character of Star Wars, Like, I like that. Yeah. But then, like, as a main character of her own story, sometimes she is a little lacking, I would say. But
that's what I was wondering. Does she have that gravitas?
She doesn't necessarily do, but then some of the side characters help elevate her a little bit. And like,
right.
Yeah, so some of them are serviceable. Like her little monkey, like Momo from the Avatar, like companion, is very cool. Like that's another element of this game that makes me think of Watch Dogs, though. It's like you could tell you direct your monkey like companion to unlock doors from you from afar, or set off bombs, or set off different things like that. Like, have you played Watch Dogs? Have either one of y'all played
briefly,
it?
But yeah, I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, so
so
like
the axolotl creature kind of replaces your phone.
Yeah, exactly. On the phone, you basically can tell it to do different inputs that would do different things in the world around you. Yeah. Your creature is almost like that. And then you can also tell your creature to distract somebody while you walk past, or like you can also tell your creature to like steal money or something like that. I think like Star Wars Outlaws, and I will say this, like Star Wars Outlaws to me is a tale of a really bad intro and as you play the game, it does get better. But then, like, first impressions are everything. So I'm like, I think, like, if a lot of people are going to have a hard time overcoming that initial hours of this game, because those initial hours are rough, very rough. I think, like, to put a new character into an established universe, you have to make us care about that character. You have to show us the character's motivations. You have to put that character in a situation that we feel invested in. I don't feel like Ubisoft did any of those 3 points justice in the initial points, to where like Ubisoft is famous right now for like, they put you in a world, they make you play a little bit, and then they put the title screen up. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like that point to get to the title screen is bland, generic, not fun, and monotonous. It's God. Like it is. It's like, and I kid you not, like very light spoilers here, but for that first intro point, you go around the city and you and your monkey creature are just stealing money from people's pockets. Like it's teaching you about like that mechanic, and you're saving up enough money to basically pay someone enough to where they help you get into your first heist of the game. Mm-hmm. And then like you do that first heist, and after that first heist, the title screen pops up. Even the first heist though is not like, I think like I compared the first portion of this game to Hogwarts Legacy. And I'm sorry for talking a lot, by the way, y'all.
No, we want this. We wanted this. Yeah. We've come all the way forward.
We waited a week to hear about this. You go on.
So Hogwarts Legacy, I think, was like, it's another IP game, another game based off of a well-established IP. But the thing Hogwarts Legacy did well that this game doesn't is it punches hard in that intro point of the game. Like
That
Hogwarts
actually was the best bit of the game, to be fair.
Oh, for sure. Like that first bit where where like everything's rocking and rolling. They introduce the main character. They talk about the early motivations enough to where you're invested in what's going on. And then as like the first part before the title screen comes up, they start to slowly introduce the music of the world of like Hogwarts Legacy of Harry Potter, and you're like, oh snap, I'm about to play a Harry Potter game. It feels hype. This game is like the opposite of that. Like,
oh god,
it is the opposite of Hogwarts Legacy in every single way. Almost, it's like Hogwarts Legacy had that punch that hit hard at the very beginning. This is like a little bit of a jab, and they kind of say, oh, well, welcome to Star Wars Outlaws. And then as you play, you're into hour like 6 through 10, and then you feel that first punch, and you're like, oh, snap, this is actually really cool. But it takes you 6 hours to get to that really cool point. It's like,
yeah, a lot of people might not make it that far. That's the thing.
No, for sure not. Like that first point when you like, I would probably say I was like hour 4 through 6, and that was the first time you whip your ship into hyperdrive, and that part felt like, woo, like that's that part where you feel like you're almost like Han Solo in that way, like you escaped a dastardly and dire situation, and like you did it by the skin of your teeth, and you just whip yourself into hyperspace, and you're like, yeah, this feels Star Wars, this feels like I'm Han Solo, this feels like I'm about to start an epic like rogue like adventure. And that part comes after the title screen, after another 3 hours, probably after the title screen, depending on how distracted you get. And by that point, you're like, okay, it took a while to get here, but now we're starting to get the momentum. Now we're starting to get our speeder, which is like Uncharted's Jeep in like in the fourth game.
Yeah, and Lost Legacy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, and Lost Legacy. Well,
Pastor's come in, so I'm mindful that he wants to show us what's in his smock. But just to surmise then, Seb, is this Pastor, or is it Pastor Parcel?
I'm going to give everyone some advice about Star Wars Outlaws. And if you don't take anything away from this episode but this, I think this is the most crucial point of this episode. Star Wars Outlaws is a 7 out of 10 video game across the board. At worst, this is a 5 out of 10 video game. If you really hate stealth, if you hate stealth, this is going to be a 5 out of 10 video game for you. This is a game that is paced very meticulously, and like if you're a Star Wars person, you're not really going to get to the emphatically good parts until like maybe 5 hours through 10 hours of playing this game. But once you get to those good parts, they're really good highs of Star Wars. If you can hang on to that, they're really good highs. What I would tell you, my advice to everyone who's interested in this game is 2 things. Try it if you have $17 to spare, which is rounded up to about $20. Get Ubisoft Plus subscription for this month, which will give you access to Star Wars Outlaws right now. You can play it for $20. Play as much as you want or as little as you want in a month, and then cancel your Ubisoft Plus subscription because it can go month by month.
That's great. Yeah, that's great advice. Because at the end of the day, it's only going to appeal to like hardcore fans, Star Wars fans, and stealth fans. So if you want to see like it's really solid advice and like review you said, so that's a good idea. Just pay for that subscription, play it, and then cancel it.
Also, if you like. It is heavy stealth, but it's also like if you also have been missing like Uncharted, because this game has a lot of Uncharted vibes to it. It's like Uncharted and Starfield. If you've been missing those, like this doesn't hit the highs of those two, at least Uncharted games, but like you can still get your little bit of your fix in. This is junk food popcorn flick movie.
Don't go into this waiting for.
Yeah, don't go into this expecting Gladiator. Go into this expecting the Meg 2. You like hold your expectations to that level. Like this ain't Game of Thrones. This is Real Housewives.
A Star Wars movie.
Very much so. Yeah. Like
perfect. One of my favorite Star Wars movies. Seb, thank you for that. Insight.
Wait for a sale if you don't want to do the Outlaws. If you don't want to do the
well, I was toying with throwing down $104 so I could play it yesterday evening, and then I had a moment of reality where I was like, no.
Thank God, please don't do that.
Wait. Okay, well, That is very insightful, Seb, and thank you for that. It's one of the best bits about having you on the show is getting this in depth before we've even had a chance to rip the cellophane off. The Seal Master's quaking in fear at that moment. Big game release Friday, so he'll feel the pain of all his hairs being ripped out simultaneously across his body. I am excited for Star Wars Outlaws. Your review didn't damper my ire because, in fact, it promoted it. I'm a little bit nervous about the stealth, or had a pre-warning about the stealth. But I am actually most excited just to be able to get in the universe and play around. And 6 hours intro, I could probably handle that. You know, I've been waiting for a game like this all year. I want a popcorn game. I want an Uncharted style, fun, frolic, pick it up, put it down, doesn't really matter game. The fact that it's based in my, is it my favourite universe these days? Yeah, probably my childhood favourite universe. Is an absolute bonus and a buzz. So thank you for that. Scotty, before we tear into Pastor's smock, are you a Star Wars fan? Because you're right in the wheelhouse of being a Jar Jar kid.
I do like Jar Jar Binks.
Why is he a Jar Jar kid?
I had a Jar Jar Binks inflatable chair, and I'm starting to wonder how George knew this. So in a previous house when I was younger, I had an inflatable chair. I poo you not, and I would sit in that and I would play, and that was probably PlayStation 1 era that we had that. So I remember
Jedi power
in
battles in a Jar Jar inflatable chair. I can't.
Yeah. The other thing is though, it's Jar Jar Binks groping from behind a young child, so it's a bit of an odd. It depends what angle you looked at the chair. Really, to be honest with you, it was a strange experience.
Was Jar Jar 12 foot sat down, or was he 3 foot sat down?
He was tall. Yeah, he was 12 foot sat down, stumpy legs. But it'd be interesting to hear. Like George, you're still excited for that game. I'm really appreciative of Seb saying, to be honest, because I was like, it's another big game that I need to get on. And to be honest with you, I'd rather buy 2 copies of Squirrel with a Gun. So it'd be interesting to see. Anyone let me know in the Discord if you, off the back of what Seb said, are you excited to go out and play this game? Because that's kind of, I'm not too sure now. I had a bit of FOMO and I was so looking forward to Seb telling us about this game. And now I'm kind of a bit like yourself, George, relieved you didn't bite the bullet and cash in your chips a bit too early.
But I bit the bullet at $56 though, BTW, and I'm happy to spend that.
Did you already bite the bullet?
Only for a smaller amount.
No!
I thought it was a good price for a current gen game.
Okay, it is. By the way, like I will tell you, a buggy game in a lot of parts. Like the stealth, like. I cannot tell you how infuriating I was. And this is why I bumped it down for me for right now. I'm probably like closer to that 5 out of 6 part is because like the game emphasizes stealth. And then
it was a 7 out of 10 a minute ago.
Yeah, but this is what I'm telling you. Like it could be, this is what I'm telling you. It's like, it's that 5 to 7 range, depending on your mouse may vary. But, and like that's the 5 out of 10 part that screams like I'm starting to hate this game is the part like the stealth is so heavily emphasized, but then like the game doesn't follow its own rules because it's buggy at times, and like the NPCs can sometimes see you through walls that don't make sense. Like if it's a laser wall, I get it. You could see me because it's transparent. You could see that. Then like there are like. Think about like you're in the Imperial starship, for instance, and like someone could see you. You're in the trash chute part of like the trash chute part.
Am I in there with Leia?
Yeah, you're in there with Leia, and then like think about
shirtless.
Yeah, and think about like imagine if the person Vader choked could see you from like walking by the chute, but the chute door wasn't open. That's like some of the stealth parts, you know?
Right, okay.
That's like some of the bugginess of this game. Like they can see you sometimes through the walls, or like you'll turn off because this game has a camera system, very much like Watch Dogs Legion, to where like sometimes the camera might pick you up. You can turn off that camera, and then sometimes like the game forgot that you inputted that camera to be turned off, so it still like rings an alarm on you sometimes too. Okay. So that's why I heard. That's why I was like, sometimes this game is a buggy mess.
I'm gonna throw this out here because Pastor's tuned up his guitar and I'll be honest with you, he's furious. It's thank you for that, Seb. That was insightful. Yeah, sorry,
we're running long. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Look, he mentioned vent shaft, he mentioned Leia, and he mentioned choked, all within one sentence, and my mind just wandered. So thank you, Seb.
You're welcome.
Back
That's
to
what
a
I'm here
must
for.
buy now, isn't it?
Let's face it, it's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Pastor Longhorn's smock. What's nestled between some cult paraphernalia and a dodgy copy of Battlefield Earth this week. These are new release highlights for the week September 1st to September 8th, 2024. Listeners, these are out on digital, physical, or will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but could be. Or they could be if you've been a very good boy. Could be region dependent. Spring Stop Smock and Woll. We're here.
Let me take the first game.
Are you going to give him a reach round?
Yeah, I'll give him a reach around. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Harry Potter and the Quidditch Champions, coming at you from PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, September the 3rd, 2024. Your next chapter takes flight. Immerse yourselves in the enchanting world of Quidditch by playing solo or... what is that? I can't see that. It's a little zoomed out.
Sharing the magic.
Thank you. Thank you. I was like, okay, sharing the magic with friends and family. Everyone, check out this game.
Something you weren't shy of doing with that very eager reach, round you gave Pastor. He seems very appreciative. The casting of Frank Stone. It's coming out on the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. September 3rd, 2024. The shadow of Frank Stone looms over Cedar Hills, a town forever altered by his violent past, as a group of young friends are about to discover Stone's blood-soaked legacy cuts deep, leaving scars across families, generations, and the very fabric of reality itself.
Damn, you read that. You read that so well.
Thank you, sir. What's next, Scotty?
Well, go to the bottom of the stairs and tickle my feet. The next game is Age of Mythology, retold on Xbox Series X and PC, coming out September 6th, 2024 AD. From the creators of the award-winning Age of Empires franchise, this is one probably for all of us, I'd say. Age of Mythology goes beyond history to a mythical age where gods, monsters, and humans collide. Now, that is a short but very powerful sentence. That is one that I'll be into, to be honest. I think we're all of that same genre that we appreciate.
Yeah, I'll be into a bit of that. I'll check if it's on Games Pass on completion. If it is,
it is, man. You can pre-download it now.
Oh, wow. It's the first thing I've actually probably wanted to pre-download on there. So yeah, happy days. What's next, Seb? Send us to the bridge with this bad boy.
It is Astrobot. Astrobot for the PS5, September 6th, 2024. Please excuse my bad Astrobot impression. Astrobot is back, supercharged and ready to play. Join the adorable robotic hero in this brand new supersized space adventure. When the PS5 mothership is attacked by Astrobot's long-standing galactic nemesis, scrambling its wires and scattering the crew across space, only Astrobot can make things right. Setting off on his biggest mission yet, he needs your help to rescue the stranded crew and rebuild the mothership. Let's go, Astrobot.
All I heard was this. Bow, 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 bow.
Does that not just sound really... Do you not think that just sounded really familiar, a little bit too close to home? Like, just think about the situation us we're in right now, and the last line description of that game. It's the biggest mission yet. You need to help and rescue the stranded crew and rebuild the mothership.
But
it's like getting us out of here and getting us home.
The only way home for us is through the Great Ascension. I still absolutely believe that Pastor is trying to show us something.
And on the other hand, Scotty, I'm going to give you a spoon and you're going to help me dig out of here.
Last time Pastor showed me
so we could eat your ass.
Look, last time Pastor showed me something, I had pink eye for 3 days, so I'm not quite sure if I want to look this time.
Wow. I love how I get my 1 on ass, and that's 2, and pink eye just sails straight through the sensor wires. It's absolutely brilliant. That's the way the UCP goes, baby.
So, Scotty, let's start with you. What's your mummy for the week? What game? Which out of these are you most looking forward to playing?
Is this out of everything or just the last 4 that we covered?
Just out of these last 4.
Mm-hmm. The last 4, I'll probably say, to be honest with you, Age of Mythology, but I haven't played Astrobot, but a little bit of a guilty
PS5. I know. Have you not played the best game on there?
I know all about it.
It comes with it.
I haven't played it. It comes with it?
Yeah, like
it's
you have
pre-downloaded on the console.
You have Astrobot pre-downloaded. Like all you have to do is download it and play it tonight.
Mine came with Spider-Man.
No. I mean, in every PS5, like across the board, doesn't matter what MSRP, a copy of Astrobot is a digital download. So I'm like, all you have to do is just go into your games list on your PlayStation 5 list right now, and then you could download the latest Astrobot.
Right. So it looks like I'm busy for the next 6 weeks then. I'm going to be playing it.
It's such a good platinum.
I haven't even made an online account. Haven't even gone into the store.
Oh, wow.
I'm just using that disk drive. Literally, pull it out, lubricate, stick it back in. That's all I've been doing.
The house.
Make the sound again. That was wow.
It was the two fingers that you raised up and hawk 2'd on that got me. It was absolutely unbelievable.
All right, George, what's your mummy for the week?
I don't know if Scotty said his. I think it was Age of Mythology / Astrobot. But
I was going to say guilty pleasure was Quidditch as well, but I've covered all bases. I've only left one out, so sorry. Go on, George.
So which one are you having, you greedy little pig?
I'm going to go with. You know what?
I'm sorry, you're not a pig at all.
You know what? The broomstick broke. The broomstick broke while I was sweeping up the other week, and I was really worried how the wife was going to get to work. So I'm going to go with Quidditch champions, that way we can get Mrs. Marathon Gaming back on that broomstick.
Wow. Apologies, Mrs. Marathon, if you're listening. I'm going to go Astrobot. Seb, what are you going?
I'm going Astrobot as well because, that last one was fire. Absolutely amazing.
Okay.
A hot prediction. I think this Quidditch game might be the worst reviewed game of this year.
Well, don't tell me that after I've picked it. Don't tell me that.
It's okay.
You could have said before. You could have given me a little nudge. I'm sitting opposite you. I'm 2 feet away from you, Seb. You could have reached me if you had 12-foot arms.
It's dark. You didn't know you were there.
I'm telling you this now so you don't waste your hard-earned money on this.
It doesn't help he's wearing sunglasses in a dark room.
No, you can't see a thing.
Can't see a thing.
He's practically invisible. Right, let me say, we've done all that. Pasta's gone. All I've got left is John Travolta's famous movie, Battlefield Earth. But I have to ask you, gentlemen, and I'm going to start with you, Scott. What are you hoping to play, sir?
I'm going to be playing some more Witcher 3. I know that. There's actually quite a few games I'm excited to talk about. So I want to play a coffee talk game. I want to play a Yakuza game. So we talked about that as well.
Nice.
And I want to try Blato again, just because that came up with a free DLC, and I touched it last time. Seb said how good it was. So I want to give that another try to get hooked, because it took me a little while for that to sink in. But I have got a few various packages downstairs. Now, I've been going through the back catalogue, and I've gone from the beginning to appreciate the full history of the show. And I've ordered a few games that people have been talking about, and they've arrived.
No.
So,
what recommendations from this show?
Well, I've got Days Gone sitting downstairs.
God.
Days Gone. Yeah,
someone mute Seb's mic. Because I love Days Gone.
Yeah, so you and OG Tom were talking about that for about 12 episodes in a row. So I thought, you know what, it must be good. And really
we didn't
late
have a lot going on in the early days.
No, we didn't. And then I'm really late to the party. I know the hype's died down, but I was out with a friend, I think it was last Friday. And every time I see him, it's a running joke. And he goes, when are you going to get Helldivers 2? And we had a few beers. I know I ordered it there and then. I know there's not a lot of people playing it as much now, but he's promised me he's going to... He said he'll hold my hand and we can play online together. So I'm finally going to dive in those depths. Yeah, but you're going to be playing on a Vita.
No, I'll play Helldivers 2 on the Portal or the 5. I will.
Pinky promise.
Here, touch it. It's dark,
that's my Longhorn.
Well, it tastes like it as well. Okay, maybe it was.
George, don't break this man's heart. Play with this man.
I will. Helldivers 2, okay, fine. I've got some bad news for you, though. You're going to have to create a PlayStation Online account if you want to play that.
Yeah, I'm a bit too retro for this modern world with these accounts. That's Ubisoft.
Scotty, you've literally gone all in on the Switch. You've got the full suite, and you're like, I'm a bit antsy setting up a PlayStation account. What the hell's wrong with you, boy?
What's this? What's that thing at the back? HD. What's that lead that goes into the telly?
Oh, that's what you put in past the special hole.
Where's my RGB? Where's my SCART's gone?
Where's my RGB?
Oh, no.
Is that it? Is that your? That's quite.
That is me. There's quite a backlog. I've actually got various notifications as we've been recording from Vinted saying, "Please confirm your delivery." So I'm worried that there might be more things downstairs.
Okay, well, can't wait to see your burgeoning current gen collection. Seb, what are you hoping to play?
Astrobot. I'll try to mow through and finish Star Wars Outlaws by the time we record next time, at least by the time I'm on this show.
Good.
You and I can have a deep discussion about that, you know.
I like that.
And then Score with a Gun, I'll try to roll credits on. Yeah.
No, we need a standalone episode for that. But I'm quite concerned if Seb does his own episode, it might just be no dialogue. It might just be Civilization 7, a soundtrack looped for 2 hours because he's that heavily invested in that release.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, I made a pact with myself. I'm gonna try not to play Civilization until the next one comes out. Like, so
this is cured.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to play that game until the next one's coming out. But keep in mind, I have over 2,000 hours into Civilization. So it's gonna be hard.
I'd recommend a friend of the opposite sex if you're putting that many hours into a game.
Yeah,
something's gone wrong
maybe
here,
one
mate.
day. Maybe one day. I think you'd be surprised on your MLB counter.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
you might want to. I
was about to say. You talking about me?
Yeah.
I think you might be surprised on how much MLB you've been playing.
As CEO of the show, that's one thing there's a, what is it called? A media blackout on my hours spent on MLB. Don't bring that up.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I'm like, Civilization had like a huge gap in between like installments. So I'm like, your MLB for the past 5 years total would probably be cumulative to my hours in Civilization. But like, yeah, I'm really just hoping to play the couple of those games, and then you know, we're getting closer to release season. We got a lot of early codes for a lot of different games, and you know, so I'm kind of hoping to dive into some of the bigger ones, to a lot of the smaller ones. But yeah, I think I'm so curious on where people land on Star Wars Outlaws. So my questionnaire for the week for everyone, because I like doing this every time I'm on. Tell me, if you get Star Wars Outlaws, tell me what you think about it. Do you think this is Ubisoft mid? Let me know if I'm wrong or not.
We put in your address in the show notes so they can send the fan mail straight over. Or as we say, let us know in the Discord.
Yeah, let us know in the Discord.
Let's. I almost let the moment go, but let's fill for me now, like the absolute experts that you are.
I've got one little bit of fill to do, just in case we do get a community correction, because I spoke about a game earlier. I said a farming game, Earth Dancer. Now that's actually incorrect. It's called Ruin Factory: Guardians of Azuma. I had a little note to myself that you play as an Earth Dancer character, and it's a farming game. So I don't want someone on the eShop frantically typing in Earth Dancer and nothing coming up. So it's Ruin Factory, Guardian of Azuma. So I apologise for that.
Yeah, that's an expert correction.
And very well executed. And that leaves us in one position. It's time to let you know the tiers. It's $3 to be read out on every show. It's $5 to be read out on every show, art merch yearly. It's $8 read out on every show, art merch yearly, plus access to the Inglorious chat. It's $10 read out on every show, art merch yearly, plus access to the Inglorious chat and a quarterly Zoom chat with your hosts. Really don't get any better than that. And you might say, yeah, but George, who would sign up to that? Well, get ready to have your doors blown off, because we've got Carlos, the one-man George fan club. I love you, sir. Woo! Trestles of New York, down in Queens, Bada Binkster, Tingle Tuner, Digital Monkery, Roast Space Monk, the Gaming Gram, the ever-diminishing Gaming Gram. He's on a health kick right now. Bald Border, Boba, he's out there stretching his arms. Marathon Gaming, our very own Marathon Gaming now. You need to come off of here. This is your wages. Seal Master Elliot, Ginge, Scotty showing us all the T-shirts, the UCP T-shirts in his wardrobe. Emma, where do we get to? Marathon Gaming, Seal Master Elliot, the unsealed one. Ginge, my beautiful red-headed stepson with arms bigger than the universe. Emma Sharp, confirmation she's off the apps again, so congratulations. Harvey.
Great, congratulations, Emma. Do you know what? I heard her phone's been beeping like mad all week. So
this is how the UCP
yeah.
it gets itself.
Doesn't need to be on there.
She's not on the apps. Harvey Retro, the legend, the Lord of Darkness, Nowhere Near Berlin, the mighty Greg Cummings, Mumsy, thank you, Mumsy, the RGT Fan Club, the Amassed Millions, Pete Brocklehurst, fine gentleman of a man, Billy Marmite, Simon Pryke, and over to Seb for the last name.
Rat Zan
Oh, I just got covered in, looks like evaporated milk.
No. It tastes like a seafood milkshake. I don't really know what to make of that. I guess that's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. I look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. See you later, guys. Take it away, Pastor.
George and Seb rolling down the road. RGT riding shotgun, a heavy load. Pastor Longhorn waiting to unfold. In El Paso, Texas, tales been told. One arm big, a sight to see. Pastor preach, preach, set you free. George and Seb, they bend the knee. RGT nodding yes in glee. Join the cult in El Paso town, where Pastor Longhorn's got his crown. One arm high, the other down. We're the wildest show around. Sunday's hot, the desert air. George and Seb both feel the glare. Longhorn's words hang everywhere. Salvation found without a care. Sunday's hot, the desert air. George and Seb both feel the glare. Longhorn's words hang everywhere. Salvation found without a care. RGT plays a sacred tune underneath the El Paso moon. Longhorn grins from afternoon to the night, they'll see it soon.